Because IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Whoa! We're talking chicken sandwiches, chicken and waffles, even chicken and pancakes. But move it, Gray Van! IHOP has crispy chicken!
Run in to try IHOP's new buttermilk crispy chicken strips and pancakes for just $6.99. For a limited time, price and participating restaurants may vary.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
It's now the law of the land for candidates in California. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more live.
SB 27 will require the release of 5 years of tax returns from candidates for governor or president in order to appear on the ballot in the state. Now, in a statement, Governor Gavin Newsom wrote, the disclosure required by this bill will shed light on conflicts of interest, self-dealing, or influence from domestic and foreign business interests. The state's previous governor, Jerry Brown, vetoed a similar bill, saying it might not be constitutional, and he asked, what's next? Your health records, high school report cards? It is a clear shot at President Trump, whose attorney has responded that this will be met with in court. Even if his administration does challenge this law, as it appears they will, it was highly unlikely anyway that Mr. Trump was going to win California's electoral vote. Steve.
Thanks, Jessica. A deadly shooting at a Walmart in Mississippi.
We looked back to the store and saw this guy running into the store. And I'm thinking, why is he running into the store, you know? And just about 30 seconds later, we see two people run out of the store and then just a flood of people leaving.
Authorities saying a disgruntled employee fatally shot two coworkers at their store in South Haven. The suspect also wounding a police officer before he was shot and arrested. The self-proclaimed mastermind of the 9/11 attacks is open to helping victims' families in their lawsuit against Saudi Arabia. But according to a court filing obtained by the Wall Street Journal, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed will only do so if the U.S. spares him from the death penalty.
Mohammed told interrogators that he worked with Osama bin Laden planning the 9/11 attacks, which involved 19 hijackers, 15 of them citizens of Saudi Arabia. The federal lawsuit accusing the Saudi government of helping coordinate 9/11 seeks depositions from several inmates, including KSM.
Fox's Rick Leventhal. Mohammed confessed to numerous terror plots, but those admissions came under torture. I'm Steve Rappaport, and this is Fox News.
Get 2 Pepsi 12 packs for only $8.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a Pepsi 12 pack for only $3.49 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See store for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get 2 Coke 12 packs for only $8.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hafa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mezcla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mezcla, a true taste of Guam.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. 27-year-old Thomas Mark Mendiola Taitno is wanted for questioning in connection with the fatal shooting of Keith Castro on Sunday night in Jigo. Details surrounding Castro's death remain unclear. No arrests have been made yet. Taitno is being sought for any information he may have on the shooting that happened along Chalantunfred Cabeza, just off Route 15. the back road to Anderson. He was last seen fleeing from police on Monday night along Chalan Evangelista in Gigo. Taitno is on parole for a 2014 arson case, and an outstanding warrant for his arrest had already been issued prior to the shooting because he'd failed to check in with his parole officer. Taitno, also known as Mossy Taitno, is described as standing 5 feet 6 to 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing between 180 and 190 pounds. He has a dark complexion and short to medium brown hair. Finance Committee Chairman Senator Josan Augustine is defending the revised 2020 spending plan he resubmitted on Monday as a status quo budget that keeps spending at a minimum. However, he warned against any reduction in taxes. During a news conference on the budget bill yesterday, San Augustine said he opposed rolling back the business privilege tax from 5 to 4%, as suggested by Senator James Moylan. A 1 percentage point reduction in the BPT, he said, would result in a loss of $60 million off the bat. The senator asked which agencies are we going to reduce by $60 million. San Augustine was joined by Finance and Budget Director Stephen Guerrero at yesterday's news conference, who said wherever we could cut, we tried to cut the budget. We'll have more news after this.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new ciabatta collection. How do you want it?
I'll take the slam poultry.
Sure. Italian ciabatta with mozzarella. When hunger reigns, you're my favorite umbrella. Tasty garlic steak and provolone. With you, my taste buds are never alone. Savory chicken pesto, you have my affection. For you complete the ciabatta collection. Thank you. That was the new ciabatta collection by Subway. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Rita Tidegui of Manila, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Ingatan ang iyong tahanan. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Take Care is reviewing its options after the Office of Public Accountability yesterday denied the company's protest over the procurement for the GovGuam health insurance contract that requires bidders to provide coverage at Guam Regional Medical City. The decision, signed by hearing officer Anthony Camacho, found that Take Care was not an actual or prospective bidder, and they missed the deadline for filing a protest. Take Care still has the option of challenging the health insurance procurement in Superior Court. In a statement yesterday after the OPA's decision, the company said they are reviewing the decision with legal counsel and will consider other options, including a possible judicial review. Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary Robert Wilkie laid a wreath at the Assen Bay Overlook yesterday. He spoke with veterans and their families at the site, saying the citizens of Guam understand better than most the experience of war. John Taitno, commander of the Guam chapter of the Order of the Purple Heart, said it was heartwarming to hear Wilkie's words, and he said the visit to the island was a real honor. Wilkie also met with island veterans for more than an hour yesterday afternoon at the governor's office in Adelup. Brian Miranda, chairman of the Guam Veterans Commission, said a lot of good information was exchanged at that meeting. Wilkie is visiting Saipan today before heading back to Washington. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with a look at our weather.
Thanks very much. Partly cloudy skies, Kevin, with isolated showers becoming mostly cloudy this afternoon. Scattered showers and isolated light and variable winds. Highs around 89 degrees and overnight lows should be about 78 degrees. We'll see the daytime begin this morning at 6:05 as it did sunset tonight at 6:49. Let me just quickly refresh the weather radar. So Duke Sky Talker, our weather wizard in the Weather Center, can give you an idea of what the near-term weather is going to be like for getting, I was going to say getting kids to school, but it's still too early for that. But getting you ready for work and getting you ready for the drive. What do you see?
Yeah, I am the weather wizard, but I cannot show you my wand.
Whoa.
Yeah. So looking at the radar right now.
Early?
Yeah. Never too early. So that's like beer, man. So we've got a few scattered, few isolated showers out there. Did we pull that up on the screen yet? No. But
what do you want? The radar. Okay, there it is.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm moving slow.
That's all right. Yeah, another day, another different direction for the winds, although it looks like we've kind of recovered back to more of a southerly flow, but it's kind of a mixed southerly, southwesterly flow. Anyway, winds are coming from the south. That means any afternoon thunderstorms that develop will affect probably it's really kind of hard to say right now. We were getting southwest winds this morning, and the forecast was mostly east coast and up to the north and central areas. Right now, the winds are what they call light and variable, could be going any direction. So if a thunderstorm forms, it'll be slow to move and maybe big to grow. Could affect us in a number of ways.
This is yesterday, so
Okay.
let me get a chance for this. It might take a second to refresh itself, but the yesterday's and then moving into today's, and it doesn't look like that blobbage that we were looking at yesterday did a whole lot of movement.
No, it really didn't, and they're expecting all of this to kind of track up to the north because we've got a big monsoon trough over. This is kind of the onset of rainy season is what we're going through right now. We do have 94 W invest, which is immediately that blobbage over there to the west of us, and then we've got 93 W invest, which is way off to the northeast, and it's going away. So not much of a big deal there. We just got to see how all this trains out. Got a big monsoon trough extending all the way over here from the Philippines, and that's where all of this unsettled weather is. This afternoon, again, we'll get the heating, we'll get the thunderstorms, some more heavy rain, just like we saw in Tamuning and Tumon yesterday.
Oh, boy.
But in probably different parts of the island. But at this point, with these light winds, they could just really make a mess of a lot of places.
6:13 in the morning. That's news and weather together, brought to you by Bank Pacific, banking on the Pacific for 65 years.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65% for travel, back to school, a wedding. Do whatever you want with the money. During July, we just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
If you're watching on Facebook Live, there's something to look forward to as it gets to be rainy season here on Guam, is the chance for rainbows. And if you've got rainbows out there, we've obviously got an opportunity to take some interesting pictures with the rainbows. 6:14 in the morning. What do we got for you? Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by my friends over at Ruby Tuesdays. It's not Tuesday anymore, but you can still go in there and snag a pretty cool happy hour offering for you. The way it works, between 4 and 6, roll in, select draft beers, wines, sangrias, the RT Tipsy Palmer, Ruby Relaxer, like $5. $5 for appetizers, too. Check them out for happy hour tonight at Ruby Tuesdays, Guam. Good news, the summer of Jeep has been extended, defying the calendar. The folks over at Cars Plus has extended the summer of Jeep past July 31st. That means that you still got time to get your hands and test drive a Jeep Wrangler, a Compass Cherokee, or the Grand Cherokee. Try that today up at Cars Plus up in Mighty. Never been a better time to go solar with the guys over at MRE. Battery storage now available for homeowners here on Guam. 632-2613. Get you a free consultation. Of course, the program also brought to you by Charlie Hermosa and the guys over at American President Lines, APL, global presence with a local home.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
A groovy morning, just FYI. Welcome to the Ray Gibson Show. Excuse the mess, it is Ray Gibson here and Mike Side with Michael Knight. You can reach him. Reach out to Michael Knight. 888-8255. 888-8255 is the telephone number. 988-5874. That's 988-5874. Appreciate everybody sending me stuff on the WhatsApp. In fact, that's where this picture here comes from. And no, I just can't get enough of. There's just some goofy about this. And I'm looking at the picture going, I think I know this lady. And if I don't, could somebody make introductions? Didn't it look like the perfect person to go and hang out at the beach with when the sun goes away and it starts raining? All of a sudden, you've got this beautiful rainbow that comes out. And if you're wondering what it is that I'm talking about, you might actually be able to find it on Facebook as well. It's a lady bending over, and her butt men is in a unique position. So it makes it look like she's got a rainbow dodo going out of there. It's just
Aye, lad. It's not a pot of gold, but it's close.
I hear that. Anyway, so that's fun. Among the other things that have been sent to me on Facebook, I think everybody got this yesterday when the police department said, could you please circulate the picture of this, what's the guy's name? Tom Titano? Everybody did. I got it in 4 or 5 or 6 different WhatsApp groups. It was all over the internet. And unless this guy is able to get on an airplane, I don't hold out any hope that he's going to be missed by the police. They stuck this thing out there, and a lot of people really interested in getting to the bottom of that particular shooting up in Jigo. So that's what you ought to be looking for. Do not try to apprehend on your own. Police say that he is armed and dangerous. If you see something, say something, down 911 or whatever the police department number is in your part of the island. 6:17 in the morning, 888-8255 again, and 988-5874. That's how you get a hold of me and Mike. And just a note, if you do send me something on the WhatsApp, and it looks really, really interesting. I mean, super provocative and super newsy. Just know that I'm probably going to send a copy of it to Kevin Kerrigan from over at the Guam Daily Post so that he might be able to take a look at it, interpret it, and maybe even throw it up on the Guam Daily Post website or use it in some of the work that they're doing in the actual printed version of the Guam Daily Post. And I'm looking at right now, it's a couple of interesting things. The guy, Tom Titano, that they're looking for, wanted for leads, obviously, in the fatal shooting, but also facing a warrant for his arrest because he failed to check in with parole officers for apparently a very long period of time. Taking a look at the story, it's got me kind of scratching my head going, I thought if you don't check in with your parole officer for a long time, they send the marshals after you and they put you back in jail. Aren't those like the terms of all of this? So I don't understand how it's possible that the guy might still be out there. Do we have that many
well, the arrest warrant was
system?
issued, but they haven't arrested him.
Huh. For how long was that? Do we know how long the arrest warrant was out?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a couple of other obviously interesting stories that we'll get around to talking about, the feedback and the flatback on the Ninth Circuit decision and the natives only vote violates the Constitution. Another big story that we broke and brought to you yesterday morning here on the program. As you might imagine, the commentary from among some of the pundits was right away, and then I think there's a lot of people that are still marinating on this. And after 24 hours, we'll see if we can get some of the marination taken over. And as I said, one of the other things that we thought was interesting was the reintroduction of a budget bill from the legislature. They did have a press conference on that yesterday, and that's why today's program on Facebook Live is called Wiggly Wednesday. And I want you to wiggle it just a little bit, as the old song goes. It's funny now, it is kind of an old song, isn't it? Wiggle it just a little bit. Was that 92, 93? Something like that. Anyway, so we got this wiggling around. I think there was recognition pretty quickly that particular budget that came out of the legislature the first time was going to be met by a lot of people with just sheer, unabated, are you out of your mind anger. Wait a second. This is the crime wave going on in this town. The people asking for more police protection, more police presence. And Steve Ignacio from over at the Guam Police Department says, yeah, let me hire some guys. Give me some money to get some dudes through training and strap a gun and a badge on them and make them lawmen. And they never got it. They all of a sudden looking at it, no, they don't need the money. And I think there was enough of a hue and cry yesterday. And maybe I take a little bit of credit for that day before yesterday and say, yeah, that was just a crazy cockamamie move. And so it looks like the reintroduced budget has a few extra pennies there for Steve Ignacio and his guys.
Not much.
Not much. Look, I thought it was restored to 37. I think they restored.
No, it's 34. What the additional $3 million is coming from compact impact funds.
So it's
the governor promised the chief additional $3 million.
I see. Oh, so
$34.5 million is what.
That's what's even in the new budget.
In the revised budget submitted Monday, right?
Okay, but
34.5.
But with additional funds coming from the compact reimbursements.
Right.
Okay. Well, then I guess they both got the message that maybe that wasn't a go show in the community. 6:21 in the morning. Time to say good morning to all of the other very, very important folks that we've got here.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody
grooviness here. What have I got? Got to say shouts to Al Bautista first in the line this morning, and you're going, who? Al Bautista? Guy was there's a long-time listener of the program, long-time Facebook Live back in town now. There's John Ray, James Howard, John Bersinas, St. Nicholas is there, Heather Paris. I always say Heather that way because it reminds me of a scene from the original. There can only be the original Highlander movie. You remember the girl in the little village? It's just him, and then the guy came and. Anyway, so her name was Heather, and that's how we called out to her. Heather. Rico Blankenfleur is there. I see Pam Ismael at number 8. Mark and Tommy Aguero. Mark Aguero is on and also back in town. That's nice. And Anita Muffness with the Valentine's eyes. That rounds out the top 10 this morning. Good to see you there. Nick Perlowski, there's Tedo from the ranch. I see Mark Cruz laughing at my Rainbow Girl picture. That's nice. Ismael says, St. Nicholas versus Rigel on the military buildup. Take a look at some of the press releases that went out yesterday. It was a real press release kind of Tuesday all over the island, and yeah, it's, Clint Rigel's got some questions about the military buildup and the impact, the tough impact that it's going to have on the working poor that we've got in this town, and he's looking to see how looking for answers, I think, from the military on how they're going to mitigate some of these challenges that the working poor are going to be facing here on Guam. We'll spend some time riffing on that in a little bit. Let me see. Sylvan Tadella. I got Big Sister Shelley Gibson online. Rick Leone is there. Lillian Cruz. I got Jennifer Post Schnitger online. Rut Rose Greeno and Ken LG. Bob Lizama. I already said Mark Mendiola's here. He's going to be bouncing back and forth. We may actually hear from him this morning on a couple of topics, up to and including, dude, I love that dresser. And he posted up a dresser for sale on Facebook yesterday. And I've been in the market for a bigger, made from real wood dresser. Oh, okay. And so this one was absolutely perfect. So me and the little girl went over to his place out in Manilao or Salampago, or I guess it's Ordot where he's at, and picked it up. And I'm in love with the thing. Yeah. Sure could have used a couple of the boys to come home with me and unpack it, because it was heavy coming off of the pickup truck. But I wrangled it into the house okay. Randy Kruger's online. Janice Wong, Lillian Cruz saying Buenos, Ray, Kevin, and Mike. And a little coffee cup down there, which is a reminder of why today is not a groovy day for me. And it doesn't happen very often, but it happened this morning. I don't even get it, because I wasn't moving fast. I wasn't, I wasn't taking my time. It was just a regular morning at the house, and I got up, I got the hot water going, I got the coffee going, and just before I left the house, I poured the coffee out of the carafe into my little traveler, right? You've seen me drink a million times from this little traveler, and then walked right out the door without it. Left it right. I know exactly where it is in the house, and naturally I didn't realize that I did not have it on me until I got here. And had been sitting at my desk for about a half hour, reached over to where my coffee cup usually is, and I got nothing, which means I don't have my regular blend of coffee in my regular cup. It's not my regular cup, and the coffee that's inside of it is, I don't know, it's I think it was the sample that came with the Keurig player when we first got it.
Well, at least the coffee you left at home will still be warm, so.
You know what? There's a very good chance that it will be. I've got, it's a clean canteen deal, and so yeah, if you put the coffee cup on the Facebook Live, it just reminds me of how it's, what kind of a rocky start I've got. I've never been one of those guys that, I gotta have my coffee, because I just always have coffee. Yeah. So when I don't have my coffee, the one that I'm used to. And by the way, you might be thinking, well, Ray, you know a lot about coffee, and so what is it that you're drinking? What kind of fabulous craft bean goes into your coffee? Do you grind it on your own? And the answer is, if you go to Cost You Less, you can buy it's a 20-pound bag or something like that for $15. It makes 150 cups of coffee, and it's a nice breakfast blend, and doesn't set you back too much. And frankly, if it was really good or really bad, I probably wouldn't notice either. Jerry Santos is there. Tony and Annette and Pinko Ada online this morning. Good morning, brother TT. Says Tony. I got Randy Kruger, Landon Adler says we are watching a lot of blobs over at the National Weather Service, and it's just that time of year. I thought I'd seen something posted by the guys out in the Weather Service in the Philippines with their predictions on where we might see some more storm activity, around about the next 6 months or so. Right. And my understanding is there was enough non-clarity in their posting yesterday that people actually starting to get really scared because it looks. I mean, they're predicting like a lot of storms and named storms and that kind of thing.
Quite frankly, Pagasa, their state weather agency, is the main reason why we started typhoon weather pages on Facebook, because they just couldn't get it right. So, and I still do not have a whole lot of confidence in what Pagasa puts out in terms of their public addresses and things. But, when it comes time for people to know what's coming, at least they're there to do that.
Yeah,
and they're getting better.
And in the very least, the important thing is, and we walk that fine line around here. You want to get the information out. You want to let people know what the worst case scenario is going to be so that they can prepare appropriately to that level.
Right.
And sometimes it sounds a little bit exaggerated, and I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if there's any colorful language we might be able to sprinkle over it, other than, if we know that we live in a place where we will get typhoons sometimes, and devastating and destructive typhoons like up in Saipan. We have to be prepared for that level of emergency.
Yeah, and it is a fine line, as you mentioned, because number one, weather is probably like the most complicated thing that each and every one of us has to deal with on a daily basis, yet so few people know anything about it. So when you do put out any kind of warnings or words of advice or even prognostications, you got to word that very carefully so that people don't freak out.
I hear that. Sabine B. Chargalov's online. I got Yoit Frangil Ogil Total, my friend. Charlene Marcia. So Dave Torrey, and a special message here in a second that says, happy anniversary to Diane Salas Torrey. That's Dave and Diane Torrey. I remember being at the wedding on the boat. Congratulations to both of you. It was nice to spend a couple hours with you over the weekend. Juanita Machi is online. I got Teresa Uggan-Rigel, Carlos Barreto, Melissa Salasaki Moto. Thanks so much. And Ted Oguay. Shirley asking out loud on the Facebook, what would BJ do with regards to this budget situation that they've got there? And an interesting place now that they are putting the Department of Education. I kind of scratch my head on that. And I think it's got people over at DOE kind of scratching their head as well. Good morning to Chris Watson. Alex Affligui is online. Lady D. I see Gina Kono, Ken LG, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Gross domestic product, $338 billion. Hold on. This is going to take me a second to read. I'll come back to that in a minute. Or you can call me and tell me what it is that you're trying to say on the Facebook Live, because I got to ram through this part here. So much to get to this morning, so many people to talk to, and so many different ways now. 24 hours has passed from the story on what's going on with the Ninth Circuit Court. A couple of statements that have gone out there, and people on one side or the other agree, disagree with it. The Guam Daily Post, their editorial is calling for more inclusiveness now that the Ninth Circuit Court has spoken, and for all intents and purposes saying this conversation based on the plebiscite laws that exist right now on Guam is over. That plebiscite is not going to happen, and it's not going to happen based on the guidelines and the guardrails on who can and who cannot vote that had been in statute before. So you got to think of something else. So what is the next big thing? Well, the Guam Daily Post caught up with a couple of interesting folks yesterday, and they talked about that, and we'll share some of those things with you in a couple of minutes. Right now, it's 6:30 in the morning, and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning. Spending for the Guam Department of Education in the 2020 budget bill is being questioned by some DOE officials, not just because of the status quo funding level, but because the new budget structure has left administrators trying to figure out their responsibilities. Bill 186 provides $219 million for Guam DOE, but unlike in past years, $199 million will go directly divvied up to individual schools by assigning each school its own appropriation. At a DOE work session yesterday with the Guam Education Board Chairman Mark Mendiola said assigning an allocation to each school means the legislature is essentially micromanaging the education department. However, both Finance Committee Chairman Senator Joe San Augustine and Office of Finance and Budget Director Stephen Guerrero yesterday denied that accusation during a news conference they held. They said that they structured the budget in that way to give school principals what they had asked for, control of their budgets and the ability to transfer funds from one school to another where funds are needed. Both San Augustine and Guerrero said Superintendent John Fernandez would still retain authority over those allocations to the individual schools. Senator Clint Rigel wants the Department of Defense to find solutions to the negative economic impacts as noted in the final supplemental environmental impact statement. The senator sent out a news release yesterday focusing on the negative impacts of the shift in Marines from Okinawa to Guam, what it would have on the local community. The release was titled, "Military Says Buildup May Increase Cost of Living, Poverty, Homelessness, Crime, and Impact Low-Income Households." John Del Serio Bulato has been accused of stealing computers from the Lotte Hotel on 3 occasions. The first reported theft dates back to February 4th. The hotel's video captured a man later identified as Bulato pulling up to the hotel in a silver truck. He's then seen walking into the guest business center and walking out with what appears to be a computer tower. He's then seen walking back inside, returning to his truck with what looks like a computer monitor. Court documents say that he'd stolen in the past. He replied nothing while in police car en route to the precinct. Bulato allegedly admitted to taking the computers and monitors. He allegedly said he sold all of the items. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Okay, it's 6:33, and that's iConnect time here in the studios of The Point. Swing by an iConnect today and ask them how they're going to save you money on mobile and internet plans.
Parents, start your child's school year right with healthiness and fun. Complete your child's immunizations, annual physical, dental, or eye exam at FHP and receive a free gift for each exam visit. Perfect for back to school. Valid from July 15 to August 31st or while supplies last. Visit their website or Facebook page for more details. Call 646-5825 and press 2 to schedule an appointment today. Most private insurance accepted. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic.
I got mine, so you get your own Berry Burst chicken salad over at Wendy's. That's what they're going to be serving up for lunchtime and dinner time and snack time tonight. It's healthy. It's got the grilled chicken on it. It's got the greens. You're not getting enough greens. You're not getting enough vegetables. You're probably not getting enough fruit either. So it's got strawberries and blueberries in there, feta cheese, and we'll put some other flavors on this like raspberry vinaigrette. We'll just coat the whole thing, close the box back up, shake it up real good, and make sure that the raspberry vinaigrette gets all over everything. And then, bon appetit. Enjoy a Berry Burst chicken salad from Wendy's.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about the food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities. But with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE, the smarter choice.
It's 6:34. It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. Stand by. Let me see if I can get the weather gizmo. Not the weather gizmo. I need the traffic gizmo here. It's right now traffic, and the idea is that I've got a gizmo that will show me what is happening in real time on Guam's roadways. Don't need somebody driving around in a vehicle adding to the congestion, so I can just read it to you by looking at the traffic gizmo. Harmon Loop Road starting to busy up there over at the intersection out in Day-to-Do area. We're looking at traffic up on Route 3 starting to busy up as well. Mostly traffic trying to get off of Route 3 on the Marine Corps Drive. Once you're there, shouldn't be too much of a problem. A little bit of slow traffic in front of the Jolly Bee intersection there. Making our way southbound on Marine Corps Drive is looking good. A little bit busy over by the GTA intersection and the airport. Actually, airport's running a little bit clearer than normal today. Might see a little bit of traffic on Challenge San Antonio as you make your way off Marine Corps Drive towards Kings, towards the GPO area. But you know why? Because they just opened up Ross. And everybody says, let's go shopping to Ross today. Not too much by way of traffic into the downtown Agutnia area or out of it, come to think of it. Nothing major in front of Navy Hospital. I don't see anything jacking you up over at the Big Navy. Stand by. Just open something else up. I'm seeing traffic going slower between Father Duenas Memorial and about the University of Guam area. That's traffic outbound towards Father Duenas on that roadway. So if you're up around the Payless Bank of Guam area on Route 10 in Mingilao, expect some delays or at least slower moving traffic through there. 6:36 right now traffic on The Point.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, mom, dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
The Ray Gibson Show, bringing you closer to the action. This is The Point, Guam's FM News Talk Superstation.
Cold. Coffee's cold. You know how I feel. Did I tell you? Somebody gave me a bottle of this cold brew coffee, and I said, "Can I take this home and microwave it and drink it hot? Because I prefer to have hot coffee. I mean, it's not scald your mouth hot, but I mean just hot coffee. Can I do that?" And they said, "Well, you can, but we don't recommend it." But I tried. I actually went home and took the cold brew, stuck it in the microwave oven, and drank it hot.
How did that work out for you?
It was a bad day. That was a bad idea.
Yeah, see, I have my 2 hot cups in the morning before I get here, but then once I get here, if it's cold, it's got to be one of these little Frappuccino things in the bottle.
Yeah.
Pre-made, and then that's perfect.
Those are good. You know, and that's why you're not able to lose weight. Because I think beer. Have you checked that? How many calories in the thing of Frappuccino?
It's like 7,821 or something. Yeah.
This thing is mostly sugar and a hint of coffee and, I don't know, apple juice or something. Anyway, 6:30 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK is the telephone number around here. Great to have you online. Ismael telling a true story. Local kid working at GTA making $23,000 a year. The kid took the time to study for a month, then took a certification exam for $350. After passing the exam, getting his certification, he applied for a job on base that requires said certification, virtually almost doubling his salary. Now gets $47,000 a year. That's nice. It's called Initiative. And it's not for a lack of jobs in these categories. I tell you what, I'd had the opportunity to spend some time with a buddy, similar engineering tastes and backgrounds like mine, but he's a little deeper in telecom, a little deeper into networking than I am. I mean, I'm a big RF guy. He likes the little small stuff. But anyway, so we're talking, and he says, I can't find enough guys to hire, and wanted to know, and out loud said, maybe you could hook me up with somebody at the University of Guam and GCC. That may be able to help me identify. I'll go in and help these kids and get their certifications and get their learning in some of these specialty tech trades, because we really, really need them right now. And that's a good example of the idea that there are these incredible jobs. $47,000 a year after a certification and a little bit of studying. And it doesn't sound like there had to be too much too many hurdles that you've got to get over. Just try. You never know what's going to happen. And for a lot of young people, this could be the key to unlocking a fruitful career, because then you're working on that side of the fence. It's nice to work on that side of the fence, right? Dude, you know where I want you to shop, and you know what I want from the commissary. So just FYI. 6:39 in the morning, 888-8255. As I said, the other Governor Leon Guerrero, Ken LG's online. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
What's the topic today? What shall we talk about today? It feels like no frowny face Friday. I just kind of in that mood today, but I'm curious as to what is at the top of your head.
Well, I looked at the resubmitted budget, and at 945 million. I was just reflecting. It was just 2010. We were in shock when the government of Guam budget crossed over the 500 million mark, and here we are 10 years later, doubled. But has our economy doubled? No, not really. Well, we went from 4.1 to 5. So there's just a lot of things we need to look at, and so I thought I'd compare us to a city that had a $1 billion budget.
Oh, that's where that came. Okay, I was wondering where that came from. I wasn't able to get to the rest of it. But yeah, Ken LG on Facebook Live a few minutes ago posted up something that looked like it was going to take a little bit of splains. So here come displains.
Yes. The city of Albuquerque has a gross domestic product of $38 billion. Guam has a gross domestic product of $5.1 billion.
Okay.
Albuquerque has a larger population, and I like to look at households now instead of total population, because not very many 3-year-olds are holding jobs. But we know that in a household, at least one person is holding a job.
Presumably, sure.
Yeah, so when we look at households, there's 221,000 in New Mexico. We have 44,000 here on Guam. So when we divide the budgets, the city budget in Albuquerque is $1 billion. Our budget is $945 million. and that comes a per household budget burden in Albuquerque of $4,522, and here on Guam it's $21,119.
We win again.
Yes, we do. Once again, we have leapt to the top, and we are now able to claim bragging rights of having one of the highest per household budgets for same budget size areas.
Yep.
The part that blows me away is that here we are sitting out here with a $1 billion budget. You know, it just.
Well, how much of that budget, though? I mean, you've taken a look at what the revenue sources are in this budget, correct? I mean, there's only so much of it that is native, that is organic. How much of that budget? And I figure the number's probably going to be up around somewhere between $450 and $525 million is coming from the federal government in some of that largesse.
Well, when you look at the budget itself, it's about a third. A third of it's coming from the federal government. A third of it's coming from the business income tax, and then the rest is coming from the business privilege tax. So we're looking at $300 million coming from business privilege tax, about $276 from income tax, and then the rest is coming from special funds and federal grants and federal funding.
Yeah.
So it's about a third.
All right. Well, I thought it would be a little bit higher on the federal side. At least it has in the past.
Well, when you look at it differently, government of Guam. I mean, when we look at I think it was the Post just ran a story that government of Guam receives $503 million of federal funding.
Yeah, and so $503 million, and our budget is $950 or so, and that's about half then.
Yeah. So. The fact that we've got this huge budget, and we're right now at the point where 1 out of 5 total tax revenue dollars is going to debt service. And when Puerto Rico hit 3 out of 5, that's when they surrendered to the federal government, turned over the keys, and now we've got the 7 members appointed by the president who dictate what will happen in Puerto Rico. We're getting close. We're at 1 out of 5, and the whole reason that I believe that the governor is pushing so hard to reappraise all the properties on Guam, instead of buying a computer for Rev and Tax that would connect Rev and Tax, DOA, and land management so they could do a better job collecting taxes that she campaigned on, so that we wouldn't need this 5% BBT. The fact that she's only hired 2 revenue control officers who, according to testimony, will bring in somewhere between $2 and $3 million a year, and she's still sitting on that $140 million she claims she's going to collect. But instead, she's setting aside, I think it's like $2 or $3 million to reevaluate all the properties so she can raise the debt limit for government of Guam.
Oh, I haven't heard that. That's interesting.
Well, if you remember, I think it was Camacho that tried to borrow more money, and he was trying to use the appraised value of the property as the basis for his borrowing. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they said, nope, you can only use the assessed value.
Right. So they make changes on the mathematics on how we achieve that number, and that's how we've been able to go out and borrow more money in the past. And I recall that they wanted to do that, golly, when it was still Speaker Juan Pat, and there was a lot of people that said we've got to stop messing around with the mathematics. We're getting a little bit too close to what our limits are structurally as defined by the Organic Act. Anyway, 6:45 in the morning. I hear what you're saying. I don't know what I'll be able to do with it this morning. As I say, we're moving into this budget time period, and I'm still, you think about the changes that they have made, and still not necessarily a nod in the right direction in terms of public safety and public health. PDN's got today. Bob Klitsky will be happy because there are 2 good locally generated editorials that he'll be able to press the meat with a little bit later on when he gets on the air after 4 o'clock this afternoon, but they're saying the same thing. Is it is clear that any of the promises that the elected representatives have made in their campaign speeches about supporting public safety, public health, and public education, that was just a dodo in the breeze.
Yep, and we'll be talking about that tonight at the Gigo Senior Citizen Center.
I knew that was eventually coming. I was trying to figure out a way that we might be able to segue into the plug. So you're going to be up in Gigo tonight?
Yes, tonight at 7 o'clock at the Gigo Senior Citizen Center.
All right, gotcha.
And we're going to go over this exact topic because, I mean, the fact that our government of Guam budget has doubled in 10 years and our economy has not, that should be a huge concern. And the fact that our residents are leaving and our governor and our legislature don't seem to care about that, because every time a family leaves, the per household share of debt and the per household share of budget burden goes up.
It gets transferred to everybody else that's dumb enough to stick around. Yeah, it reminds me of the 90s. You know, that time in the 90s after the Japanese economy tanked and the number one export on Guam was shipping containers, because everybody was calling Wally over at Tank Saw Us and saying, "Put my stuff in there and get it out of here." A lot of people moving out, and I remember the comment that I made at the time was, "If you leave now, you're not allowed to come back when it gets good."
Well, I was part of the 70s exodus when the interest rates hit 13-15% for household loans.
That was ugly, yeah.
The economy of Guam was collapsing, and the only jobs available were government of Guam. And if you couldn't get a government of Guam job, you were probably selling Tupperware, Amway, or working down at one of the strip clubs.
Cutco knives, buddy.
Job at one of the strip clubs, I had to move to Hawaii.
It was Cutco knives. No, you probably could have gotten a job at the strip joint. Dude, I got to run 6:48. Have a great time tonight, would you?
You too.
I promise. 888-825-5888-TALK is the telephone number. That's Ken LG. He's always got something to play around with in his head. Those of you that follow me on Facebook may see something in your feed this morning that wasn't there before. Because I don't know whether you follow Mike Sinicolas, but Mike Sinicolas has some interesting points that he wanted to make, and I don't know if this is organic, whether it just popped into his head about how great the military buildup is going to be, or whether it is in response to concerns that have been generated in a couple of places, one of them among some of the activist groups that we've got around here, and most recently by Senator Clint Rigel, asking about ways that we're going to have to mitigate some of the impacts on the poor people of Guam as a result of the military buildup. And I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting conversation, given what the military has already proposed that they're going to be doing, $122 million that ratepayers aren't going to have to pay for the Northern Wastewater Treatment Plant, the repository for all of the artifacts that they're not bulldozing over, and a variety of other things, net positive returns of lands and that kind of thing. So there are those things that have come to us as part of the military buildup conversation so far. I imagine there might be more, but he is quoting from the actual final supplemental environmental impact statement. The military says buildup may increase cost of living, poverty, homelessness, crime, and impact low-income households. The purpose of the release is to draw attention to DOD's own findings with regard to the negative economic impacts of the buildup. In light of the narrative that the buildup will be good for the economy, I propose that DOD come up with ways to address these negative impacts, since it is their proposed actions that will cause these impacts. Now, you know me, and I consider Clint a close personal friend. And we get beer summits all the time, and we have a good time. This might be one of those cases where I don't necessarily agree with the points that he is making here, not just because of the ones that I have already brought up here. It is because I don't know if this is a good way, a safe way, a fair way to get into the debate. But I don't know that we ask ourselves the same questions as we pass laws, as we move through budgets over at the legislature. Does anybody look at actions that have been taken run by the 34th or the 35th Guam legislature and say, what is this? How is this going to increase the cost of living, poverty, homelessness, crime, and impact low-income households when they pass bills over at the legislature? And I'll give you the example that's in the top of my head right now, which is the increase in the gross receipts taxes. That had an impact on everyone in the community, and my guess is it had a greater impact on people that are living at the lower end of the financial spectrum in this town. But I don't remember anybody coming all out and saying, well, that's bad. But if the military is doing something, or we're going to hammer on those guys, and we're going to make them come up with a solution to every single problem that everybody is going to have as a result of the military buildup. I'm just saying, look in the mirror before people start getting critical of a move that is going to bring people with jobs to Guam. They're actually importing people with paychecks to Guam, and that money's going to get spent around here.
Yeah, but
what is the impact there?
Yeah, and I can't really argue with too much of that. The one thing they could do, and I don't know how this would get done, maybe the legislature can appeal to the DOD or something to have them lower this COLA allowance that the military gets, because it's driven rent up here on this island to such an extent that a house that shouldn't rent for more than about $1,200 is going for $2,250, which nobody, a regular person here on Guam, can afford in any way whatsoever. And that's just something, it's unnecessary.
I don't know.
It would bring the housing market back down to something more realistic.
Yeah, I don't know how that comes about. I don't know how something like that gets controlled, and I'm sure there's nothing that the legislature can do about it.
Right. Yeah.
You get people that have earned by virtue of their service the ability to live off base and outside of base housing, and it's like anything else. I mean, if we were talking about you or your kid, you wouldn't want to live in a slum.
No, absolutely not.
So it's the cost of construction, it's the cost of the labor, it's the cost of the maintenance on these buildings that people are renting, and even we've had this conversation here on the radio with real estate people that are saying, if you take a look at where these things are now, where the prices are right now, given the cost of construction, the inability of construction companies to find good labor around here, cheaper labor around here, it means that even at those pretty Tony rates, $2,400 a month, if you were to build a new house or refurbish a new house, that would not be enough of a monthly rental to make any money on it. The margins are getting thinner and thinner and thinner, even for the people that have the money. I don't disagree with you. And we've had this conversation about what we're going to be doing on an island with finite land resources, finite living arrangements, and if you're going to build, you're going to build for, it's not greed, it's just business. I'm building a piece of property, I'm building an apartment complex, so I'm going to build it so I can rent to people that have got money.
Sure, and I can't really argue with folks wanting to make money on their property and expand that investment, but that one thing would single-handedly make it much easier for people here on this island to make ends meet.
So what can the legislature do?
Well, what can anyone do?
Maybe the legislature can find ways to make things easier and cheaper for contractors. To go out there and find a piece of property and build on that property. Is there some kind of a developer's qualifying certificate that we can do with a guarantee that these are going to be perpetually lower income or middle income houses? I'm sure that's within the power of the legislature to do. Hey, let's stick that in the budget. 6:54 in the morning. So there we go. DOE commits to funding structural assessment. That's DOI, structural assessment of Guam Memorial Hospital. Haven't seen too much about this particular press release that went out yesterday in the media. Department of Interior Office of Insular Affairs today pledged to provide Guam with resources to fund the structural assessment of the Guam Memorial Hospital facility to be performed by the Army Corps of Engineers. There's never been in the history of the United States of America a better Corps of Engineers than the Army Corps of Engineers. And they're going to be coming out there and scouring the Guam Memorial Hospital, fine-tooth comb, and they're going to come out and they're going to take tests and they're going to do probes and they're going to check for spalling concrete and lousy electricity and poor plumbing and all of those things and make a decision on it will come down to this. This is where it gets to be interesting and a provocative and almost tasty conversation. Let me read the quote here from the governor's office. We are grateful to Director Pula, that's Nick Pula, cool guy, met him a couple of times, and the Department of Interior for their continual support and for always being attentive to the needs of the people of Guam, said Acting Governor Tenorio. She's out of town again?
No. She's back today.
She's back?
Yeah, on Monday she went to Pohnpei for
Right.
the inauguration of the new FSM
Once
president.
you come back, okay, but yesterday.
Last night.
Okay, last night. So, okay, well, I'm just saying, because this says acting Governor Tenorio.
Right,
But it's
it was
dated
yesterday.
Gotcha. All right, so once an assessment is made on the viability of the GMH facility, she's back for a visit. Sorry. That's why she hates me now. Once an assessment is made on the viability of the GMH facility, we can move forward with the modernization of our only public hospital. An evaluation by the Army Corps of Engineers will allow us to determine whether the hospital should be rebuilt or if improvements should be made to the existing facility. And that it gets it going in my head, because now we've got what if questions that we can ask. So what if we decide that improvements can be made to the existing facility? Is that something that we want to do? I mean, it's not a brand new building. That thing went up in the 1970s and not necessarily designed to have been the kind of hospital that it has turned into. It's been through a lot of changes since I was a little boy, and it was originally run by the nuns in the Catholic Church. But is that something that we want to improve to maintain as Guam Memorial Hospital? I don't think it should be. I think we can turn it into something else. I think maybe we can turn it into maybe a teaching facility. We'll get the nurses and get some maybe a little bit of something for the VA. Maybe there's that's a good point, Mike. Maybe there's something that we might be able to do with them and take some VA money and be able to pump it into that. Get that infuse some new life into the property, and spray paints and wallpaper and that kind of thing. The same stuff that you do at your house, kitchens and bathrooms, right? So yes, but not as the GMH, and maybe do something else with it, and take a look at the property. See, you're thinking the same thing, right? Take a look at the property that the old Guam Memorial Hospital was on, over at Hospital Point. Let's take a look at that property and see if there is something that we can do with that, because there's nothing going on now. I think it's just some place where we store the rhinoceros beetle eggs. I think that's the only thing that goes on with that place now. But go in, flatten it out, have the same Army Corps of Engineers determine whether or not that would still be a safe place, because everybody talks about fault zones. I don't know if they know what the heck they're talking about. But there was a hospital there before. Could we put a new and improved Guam Memorial Hospital on that spot right there? I don't know, but it's an interesting conversation. I can hardly wait to see what it is that the Army Corps of Engineers finally decides that they want to do with something with that. 6:58 in the morning. I don't necessarily like reading things to you on the air, but I do want to make sure that I get a couple of points from Mike Sinicolas. And Ismail is right. It looks maybe it's possible that Mike Sinicolas in Washington D.C. saw some of the statements and questions that Clint Rogel was asking over at the legislature, and says, okay, yeah, let's talk about economic benefits and what needs to be done around here to address some of those concerns. It's on his Facebook page. As I said, if you follow me, you might have already gotten the share, and so take a look at that. On the way, I got Fox News Live. It's on the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point, KUSG. I got you on the other side of that. Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all the big stories that we are going to be talking about today. Jerry Roberts in with the Extra Point, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes. And we'll see where else the program is going to take us. You want to get messages to me? WhatsApp me at 988-5874. Leave something cute on Facebook Live today. Stand by now for Fox News.
Another chance to make their case. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. Democrats running for president hitting the stage tonight and tomorrow night for their second set of debates. Fox's Jared Halpern has more live.
Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren will share a debate stage. For the first time, the two have both polled near second place in recent surveys, hoping to attract voters with similar views on health care, wages, and tax policy. Montana Governor Steve Bullock debates for the first time after failing to qualify for the first round last month. Bullock has been trying to break through with a message of pragmatism, the only Democratic candidate to win statewide office in a place where President Trump won in 2016. Steve.
Thanks, Jared. Unfazed by allegations of racism,
I am the least racist person there is anywhere in the world.
President Trump defending his criticism of a prominent black congressman.
President not backing down one bit in his feud with Elijah Cummings. The president this morning on his way to Jamestown blaming Cummings, at least in large part, for what he says is the decline of Baltimore, saying that the city has been beset by corruption.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. Wall Street finishing the day in red territory.
Thanks to ongoing China trade woes, along with a potential looming Federal Reserve rate cut. The Dow closing down 23 points, the S&P and the Nasdaq pulling back from last week's record highs, both closing in the red. Under Armour stock, though, is getting hammered. It closed down almost 12%. The company's outlook is what has investors worried. The athletic company predicts sales will fall in North America as it ramps up a focus on athleisure and women's apparel.
The Fox Business Network's Christina Partsinevelos at the New York Stock Exchange. The body of notorious gangster John Dillinger is expected to be exhumed in September, but that's a challenge because his grave is encased in concrete. Authorities hope digging Dillinger up will put to rest conspiracy theories that someone else is buried there. This is Fox News.
Viva Guam! As Guam celebrates 75 years of liberation, Nambo Insurance honors the brave heroes who dedicated their lives to fight for our freedom. With great pride, we salute those who made our liberation possible. At Nambo Insurance, they share the same dedication to serve our community. From offering reliable home, auto, motorcycle, and business insurance to providing friendly half-a-day service, Nambo Insurance is dedicated to serving Guam. From your Nambo family, happy liberation, Guam.
The summer of Jeep, Compass, Cherokee, Wrangler, Cars Plus in Mighty. Your new adventure starts now. Buy the 2019 Motor Trend SUV of the year and get a new Jeep Wrangler Sport for $268 per paycheck. Or get a new Jeep Compass Sport, only $167 per paycheck. Let them hear you coming in the new 2019 Jeep Cherokee. Buy for $205 per paycheck. And get financing as low as 1.99% on all Jeep models. Come see why you'll be kicking it at Cars Plus in Mighty. Driven by you.
A Walmart employee accused of killing two co-workers at a store in Mississippi.
The two people shot and killed by the gunman were store employees. South Haven Police Chief Macon Moore says officers searched and found the gunman in a parking area. After shooting one of the officers, Chief Moore said the shooter encountered a second cop.
He was struck twice by gunfire from our officer.
The shooter was then arrested and taken to a hospital. South Haven Mayor Darren Musselwhite says his city's officers were prepared for this very recently.
Chief said literally within 10 days we had an active shooter training event.
The mayor now says the shooter was a disgruntled employee. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
California Governor Gavin Newsom calling for tougher gun laws on a national level after a mass shooting at a festival in Gilroy.
We can only do it for our state, and then we got to fight in the courts, so we got to fight these organized national rifles. But then you got an entire party, it seems, completely bankrupt with no capacity. Now, and don't claim to be compassionate.
A 19-year-old fatally shot 3 people and wounded a dozen others before police killed him. A lawsuit filed against Capital One for a data breach affecting more than 100 million customers.
The FBI says a former tech worker is responsible for the breach. They arrested Paige Thompson, who used to work for Amazon in Seattle. The hacker got access to Social Security and bank account numbers, as well as addresses, phone numbers, and dates of birth. All of the data stored on Amazon's cloud service.
The Fox Business Network's Grady Trimble, New York's Attorney General, opening an investigation into the breach. 2 TSA employees suspended because of an offensive display in a baggage screening area at Miami International Airport. The agency saying it does not tolerate racist behavior, but did not provide details about the display. It reportedly included a noose and 2 monkeys. The mayor of Miami-Dade praising the TSA for taking swift action. I'm Steve Rappaport, and this is Fox News.
Get a free Polar Pop any size when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a free coffee any size when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get $5 off any Circle K car wash package when you purchase $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy.
Whether it's for business or pleasure, staying connected when you travel is always essential. And now when you travel to South Korea, enjoy free data roaming with Docomo Pacific. Navigate the city, look up the best restaurants, email back home, or post all your pictures all on the go for free. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your postpaid account is ready for roaming. You plus Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See print ad for details.
Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hapa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mescla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mescla, a true taste of Guam.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam police are asking for your help in finding 27-year-old Thomas Mark Mendiola Taitno, who is wanted for questioning in connection with the fatal shooting of Keith Castro on Sunday night. Details surrounding Castro's murder remain unclear. No arrests have been made. Taitno is being sought for any information he may have on the shooting that occurred along Chalantun Fred Cabeza just off Route 15 on the back road to Anderson. He was last seen fleeing from police on Monday night along Chalan Evangelista in Jigo. Taitno is on parole for a 2014 arson case, and an outstanding warrant for his arrest had already been issued prior to the shooting because he had failed to check in with his parole officer. Taitno, also known as Mossy, is described as standing 5'6" to 5'7" tall and weighing between 180 and 190 pounds. He has a dark complexion and short to medium brown hair. His photograph can be found on the Guam Daily Post website. Finance Committee Chairman Senator Joe San Augustine defending the revised 2020 spending plan he resubmitted on Monday as a status quo budget that keeps spending at a minimum. However, he warned against any reduction in taxes. During a news conference on the budget bill yesterday, San Augustine said he opposes rolling back the business privilege tax from 5% to 4% as proposed by Senator James Moylan. A 1 percentage point reduction in the BBT would result in a loss of $60 million off the bat, said the senator. Which agency are we going to reduce $60 million, he asked. San Augustine was joined by Finance and Budget Director Stephen Guerrero at the news conference yesterday, who said, wherever we could cut, we tried to cut. We'll have more news after this.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities. But with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE, the smarter choice.
News time here at The Point is 10 minutes past 7 a.m. Spending for the Guam Department of Education in the 2020 budget bill is being questioned by Guam DOE officials. Unlike in past years, the bulk of the $219 million DOE budget will be going directly to individual schools. Each school has been assigned its own appropriation. At a DOE work session with the Guam Education Board yesterday, Board Chairman Mark Mendiola said assigning an allocation to each school means the legislature is essentially micromanaging the education department. However, both Finance Committee Chairman Senator Joe San Augustine and Office of Finance and Budget Director Stephen Guerrero yesterday denied that, saying during a news conference that they called that they structured the budget in that way to give school principals what they'd asked for, control of their budgets and the ability to transfer funds from one school to another where funds are needed. Both San Augustine and Guerrero said Superintendent John Fernandez would still retain authority over the allocations. Senator Clint Rigel wants the Department of Defense to find solutions to the negative economic impacts of the military buildup, which he says the military itself has already identified in its own impact study. Senator issued a release yesterday challenging claims that the buildup would be good for the Guam economy by pointing out the negative impacts. The senator cites page 12 of the record of decision from the military, which states that the military buildup may stress some sectors of the Guam economy by raising the cost of goods and services. That would be felt most severely by low-income people, states the report. Senator Rigel said the buildup will create more jobs, but many of those jobs will be filled by off-island H-2B workers and not local residents. Senators calling on DOD to come up with ways to address those negative economic impacts, since it is their proposed action that will cause them. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now take a look at our weather.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's birthday yesterday. We should do the weather forecast in Arnold.
Oh, Ron. I don't think I can do that for the whole time.
Hear it in my head. My voice, Arnold Schwarzenegger style, as I do the weather. I don't know if I'm going to do that either. I'm just messing around here because it's fun. Partly cloudy skies today with isolated showers. We can expect mostly cloudy skies this afternoon. Some scattered showers more and isolated showers moving in as well. Light and variable winds. Highs about 89 degrees. Overnight lows 78 degrees. Not much by way of a heat index, although I did get some dew on the car. And since it's garbage pickup day, it's also dew on my garbage pickup gizmo out in the front.
Yeah, we got plenty of moisture in the air, but we don't get a heat index because we have so much cloud cover during the heaty part of the day. That's a new term, by the way. And so, so you don't really, don't have that intense heat beating.
It's wiggly day to day. We can do whatever we want.
That's right. Make them up as we go along. The rain saying, "I'll be back." That was horrible. But it's actually not too bad right now. Just some isolated showers out there. That'll pick up as looks like we've got some moisture coming in from the southeast. If you look down there at the very lower right part of the radar screen, you can see stuff moving in a different direction than everything else. That's been the case. We've had wind shifts go on for the last couple of days. Now it looks like we're getting winds from the southwest. That means any of these island effect thunderstorms that do pop up later on today are going to run the length of the island. So the northern parts of the island, especially along the east coast, maybe central areas as well, going to get pounded pretty good today. We'll see how that goes. Had some real persistent rainfall over the Tamuning and Tumon areas of the western coast yesterday. Dumped a lot of rain, actually. I haven't talked to the Weather Service guys to find out exactly how much, but we'll see kind of a repeat of that, but just on the other side of the island. Looking at the satellite real quick, we've got that blobbage I showed you down to the south. That looks like that's coming this way. We'll have to see how that goes. If it does, that's going to really ramp up the rain chances for later on today and tomorrow. We've got 94W Invest, which is off to our northwest. It's going to be moving away. And we've got 93W Invest, which is way off to the northeast. It's also, well, actually, it's kind of up to the north, but it's going towards Japan. Lots of blobbage out there. We got a monsoon situation going on. Even the Weather Service isn't quite sure how this is all going to pattern out. But, yeah, it really does mark kind of the start of our official rainy season at this point. So that's good. We need the rain.
714 keeps the house cool, keeps the electric bills down. It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
Parents, start your child's school year right with healthiness and fun. Complete your child's immunizations, annual physical, dental, or eye exam at FHP and receive a free gift for each exam visit. Perfect for back to school. Valid from July 15 to August 31st or while supplies last. Visit their website or Facebook page for more details. Call 646-5825 and press 2 to schedule an appointment today. Most private insurance accepted. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic.
All right, so we weren't able to bring you the weather forecast in Arnold Schwarzeneggerese, but there might be a possibility that Jerry Roberts could do the extra point in that inimitable style. 7:15 in the morning, the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by American President Line's global presence with a local home. Never been a better time to go solar with the guys over at Micronesia Renewable Energy, because they have got themselves battery systems that will now go with your solar systems. And the summer of Jeep has been extended. I've been warning everybody that end of business day today, it goes back to the regular prices, regular rates, regular interest rates on Jeeps all over the lot over at Cars Plus. But they're having so much fun with this, they've extended it another month. So you've got more time to go test drive the Wrangler, the Compass, the Cherokee, the Grand Cherokee. Start looking at and I'd start doing it right now. Don't wait for the test drive. Just go like to a Jeep like Jamboree website or some like Jeep fan page and see all the different ways that people have customized their Jeeps. Sit at any intersection on Guam for any longer than about 5 or 10 minutes. Guarantee you're going to see a whole bunch of different kind of Wranglers with a whole different kind of customization deals on them, and you ought to be inspired. Then go test drive one.
Now, I know they have these really cool Jeeps up there with all these really neat options on
Yes.
it, but what I want to know is, do they have one that's just bare bones? Nothing but a Jeep wheel, steering wheel, and a roll bar.
I think you could buy one and just take the stuff out if you want to, because I think they're going to want to still charge the same amount of money for the thing. So if you want to get rid of the radio and the Dick CPEC tires or whatever it is that they've got in there, I'm sure they'll let you do that.
I'm just looking for the economical version. You know?
It might be. They'll hook you up. It's Cars Plus. Anyway, 7:16 also being brought to you by the guys over at Ruby Tuesdays, and any day of the week they've got something going on all week long. Best starters, lunch, and dinners, priced to please on a brand new Ruby Tuesday favorites menu. They got dips and wings and burgers and tacos and steaks and salmon, and those come with toppers and plenty more. Find a nice dinner, great atmosphere, groovy people at Ruby Tuesdays.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-8255.
It is Wednesday, Wiggly Wednesday all day long today, and opportunities for people to say what I meant to say was this. But we'll get around to doing some of that later on. Vivian Cunningham's online. Richard Leone is on, and he's already all fired up. Old GMH. I was talking about the old GMH property and saying, we got the Army Corps of Engineers coming in. They're going to determine whether we can rebuild the existing Guam Memorial Hospital, or maybe we ought to think about just making a whole new one somewhere else. There used to be a hospital in between where the Archbishop Circle is and where the current hospital is.
That's true.
A little bit of roadway there, and I don't know why we could not use that for some kind of new and improved medical campus out there. I think that'd be nice.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, and then Richard says that old GMH property collecting dust like the decolonization story.
Well, there's some folks up there that are doing some things that have, I guess, they have leases or.
I have
maybe
no
they're
idea
just
what's
paying
going on.
rent or what they were doing up there.
I don't even think they got power and water up there, believe it or not.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're talking about like where Danny's house used to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, over on that leading edge. I have no idea what goes on there. I've never seen it. I've never seen the gate open.
Oh, well, there's at least one or two people that are doing the healing arts, those types of things, and there's some artisans.
So
up
we
there
keep them.
to do that.
They can stay. I'm just saying, it would just could be a nice place to put a new hospital, and you can still have your other healing arts and hippie medicine and all of that.
Wait a second. How about a Laddie of Freedom? How would that work up there? I mean, maybe with a convention center underneath.
Right there on the
work?
top. Boy, there was a conversation. How about the Dragon Hotel? You remember that? A few years ago, they had actually marketed, I think the guys over at Gita actually had a plan, marketed to this Chinese concern or Taiwanese concern. I can't remember which of the two. And it was going good until they released their artist rendering of what the buildings were going to look like. And everybody said, oh, hell no. no, not that. We need that kind of looking cheap there. So I'm not sure if we want to move in that direction. 888-8255-719. We'll get around to doing some of the other stuff. I did want to drop this. Might be able to get my hands on it. As people are driving to work right now, as people are making their way in 719, 1 in 5 people are late to work each week. 1 in 5 U.S. workers say they are late to work at least once a week. The most common excuse, traffic, followed by a lack of sleep and getting kids ready for school or daycare. Other frequent excuses are problems with public transportation, wardrobe issues, or dealing with pets. Or, I hate my job. How
really?
much? No, I'm looking at you. I'm asking you. From a trainer perspective, is it possible that lack of interest on the job, lack of a desire to be there? Maybe you got lousy coworkers. Maybe you got a lousy boss. Maybe you're just not inspired at your job, and so you wake up in the morning and maybe I'm going to hit the snooze bar a couple of times.
Sure.
There's no rush.
Happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the one and how many ever?
1 in 5 is 20%.
In California, they came out when I was back there in the 80s. They came out with a survey. 1 in 7 cars were armed. That's what the survey, and this was in the 80s. Now it's probably like 3 out of 7.
Yeah, after Gilroy, maybe.
Well, no, you're talking about, I mean, this is 30 years ago, and they said 1 out of 7 cars had a gun in it. And, you didn't want to stop on the freeway and get involved in arguing with anybody because you just never know.
That's right. It was real aggressive driving out there.
Fine, yeah, just go.
Just keep,
whatever you
hurry
want
up.
to do, yeah.
20 after 7 o'clock in the morning. If you are late to work, ask yourself why.
Yeah.
And if you've got people that are chronically late to work, maybe you talk to them about you having problems in your personal life, you're having a hard time making the transition from summertime to back to school time with the kids, or do I suck as a boss? Do your coworkers tick you off on a regular basis?
Now, can I get serious for a second on this?
That's where I was. That's where I was headed.
I'm coaching a group of managers right now, about 40 of them, and it's come up several times.
God, it sounds like herding cats, bro.
These are great people, and a couple of times it's come up that people are having difficulty getting to work on time, and they're dropping kids off. Now, during the summer, it's not a problem, but during the school year. And I remember when I was dropping my son off at Tamuning Elementary years ago, they only accept kids in some of these schools up as early as a certain time, like 7:30, 7:45, whatever it happens to be. And there's these huge lines that just go down the road, right? So it's really difficult.
Don't trust the bus drivers with the kids.
But they can't drop the child off until a certain point.
Yep.
So then once they go through that line, drop off the child, and somebody takes custody of the kid, like the teacher, then you can head on to work. And they said oftentimes we come in late. And employers need to ask themselves a question, can we be a little more flexible for some people, unless the schools open up a little bit earlier and allow the kids to come in a little bit earlier? That might solve that problem.
It could. 7:22 in the morning. Jerry Roberts, we're full of answers for you because, we've low stakes in here. We can say whatever we want to. It's not like we got to worry about running a government.
No. When I was governor of California, I did what I wanted to do.
Happy birthday, Your Holiness. Jerry Roberts in the studio. It must be time for... No, not yet. I got to take a look at the markets and see how that did. Thanks very much for bringing up the music. And the reminder, markets are down in the U.S. today. S&P 500 lost 7, almost 8 points, 3,013. The NASDAQ off by almost 20 to close at 82.73. Dow Jones Industrial Averages closed off by 23 points, lower at 27,198. FTSE is also down. Nikkei is going to bang into work today, 21,709. They closed yesterday 92 points in the green. Hang Seng is up by 40 points, 28,146. DAX is off by 270 points. That's a big number for them, 12,147. Take a look at the commodities. West Texas crude trading at about $58.37 for a barrel of West Texas. Unfortunately, we're in that time of the week where the numbers that I have for Tapas are frozen. They're frozen at $66.98. So that's what we get to look at. Anybody got a number on Bitcoin? Bitcoin, do I hear 10,000? Do I hear 11,000? 9,000? What do we got for BC? Who's going to get it faster, Mike or Jerry?
9,556 is Bitcoin today. Jerry couldn't tell you because I didn't turn on his mic yet.
Ooh. What do we got? People online with regard to how Jerry framed the problems that some people have as they're getting around. Sandra De Leon Guerrero says bus and or daycare options are also kind of tricky for people. There are buses that will pick up the kids in the village and take them to places like Tamuning Elementary and some of the other schools. But a lot of parents, and I know I would be one of them, I'm just not crazy about putting my kids on a bus with that stranger.
Or the child has to get out there very, very early in the morning because the bus has to make a lot of different pickups. So do you want your kid out there at 6:30 in the morning, right?
And the answer is probably, and depending on what time the sun comes up, what time of year it is, maybe not, and especially with the kids having to get out there earlier than 6:30, at 6 o'clock in the morning, so they can sit and wait for the bus. 7:24 in the morning, and now it's time for Jerry Roberts to give us the Extra Point delivery, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and our friends over at First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
Are you a person who does good work, but you're not very good or very comfortable with talking about how good you are? In other words, self-promotion just isn't for you. Today, I've got a perspective on this that just might work for you. It's next on The Extra Point.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Many of us were raised to believe that self-promotion was being selfish. We heard things like, hey, if your stuff is really any good, others will talk it up, so you won't have to. To that I say, not necessarily. In a perfect world, our boss would recognize our efforts and great talents, and not only let us know, but also sing our praises to the big boss so we can get promoted. That does happen, but not always. There comes a time in our career when we realize that nobody is promoting us, so we need to toot our own horn a little bit. For some folks, this is extremely hard. I know you're proud of the work you do, and I know that just maybe you secretly wonder why so few people notice, especially the ones who have the power to advance your career. Or perhaps you're in business for yourself. Why don't all your customers tell their friends so more people buy your products and services? Now, the reason in both cases is that life is busy, and they're not actively in the business to promote you or what you do. It's not their priority, so it has to be yours. But how do you promote yourself and your work without feeling like an egomaniac? Let's clear something up right now. Self-promotion is not about promoting us. It's about promoting the value that we create for others. Let that sink in for a second. Nobody cares about the one who creates the masterpiece until they fully appreciate the work. It's about us delivering value, not about us. So promote your work, whether that's in a corporate environment with a lot of other employees or if you're a solo entrepreneur. Let your work stand out and do the talking for you. Don't just turn in a so-so job and figure it's good enough. Average, run-of-the-mill performance isn't worth promoting. Instead, do the best you can and make people take notice. That's how your work works for you. Focus on the people who need and use what it is you do. Whether that's a customer who hands you cash for your efforts, or it's the person in the next department who relies upon you and your production in order to do their job. Focus on them. They're your customer, just like the one who pays out of pocket. Ask them if they're happy with how you're serving them and how you can do better. Trust me, if you focus on the satisfaction and success of others, eventually the word will get around about you. I've quoted him before, legendary author and speaker Zig Ziglar. He said this, "You will get all you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want." In extra point number 10, I told the story of Dr. Martin Luther King's speech to a group of middle school kids just months before his death, in which he told the students that whatever they would do in life, whatever work they would have, to do it to the utmost of their ability. Over-deliver. You want people to notice, offer more value than you're paid for. Do that long enough, and they will notice. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
And I'm Ray Gibson. Jerry Roberts, of course, the finest in training and broadcast excellence here on 93.3 The Point.
Thank you, sir.
Try to talk about you as often as I possibly can.
I do appreciate that.
I always like to say nice things about Kevin Kerrigan. He's coming up next with headlines here, 7:29 in the morning. And this headline newscast brought to you by Antiloli Kamet at Remax Diamond Realty. Call her for all your real estate needs, 688-6743, 730 News. Also brought to you by GPSI Guam, a professional services company, registered contractor for the federal government. Find out more about GPSI by calling them at 477-3058. It's time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. This is Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Take Care Insurance is reviewing its options after the Office of Public Accountability yesterday denied the company's protest over the procurement for the GovGuam health insurance contract that requires bidders to provide coverage at Guam Regional Medical City. The decision, signed by hearing officer Anthony Camacho, found that Take Care was not an actual or prospective bidder, and they missed the deadline for filing a protest. Take Care has protested the procurement, asserting in part that requiring health insurers to cover care at GRMC would eliminate competition and deny equal protection. Take Care still has the option of challenging the health insurance procurement in Superior Court. In a statement yesterday after the OPA's decision, the company said they are reviewing the decision with their legal counsel, and they will consider other options, including a possible judicial review. John Del Celerio Bulato has been accused of stealing computers from the Lotte Hotel on 3 occasions. The first reported theft dating back to February 4th. Hotel's video surveillance showed a man pulling up to the hotel in the silver truck, walking in, then walking out with computers and monitors. Again, on February 22nd, police received a second theft complaint from the hotel showing the same truck and the same man walking into the business center and walking out with computer equipment. Then on July 20th, police got a third complaint from the Lotte Hotel. 2 more computer monitors were stolen. The videos showed the same man and truck. Bulato was later identified as the man in the video, according to the magistrate complaint. And Bulato initially denied that he'd ever been to the Lotte Hotel. But after he was arrested, the complaint states that in the police car en route to the Agana precinct, he reportedly admitted to taking the computers and selling them. Bulato is facing 2 counts of theft now. Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary Robert Wilkie laid a wreath at the Asin Bay Overlook yesterday. He spoke with veterans and their families at the site, saying the citizens of Guam understand the experience of war better than most. John Titano, commander of the Guam chapter of the Order of the Purple Heart, said it was heartwarming to hear Wilkie's words. He said the visit of the Veterans Secretary was a real honor. Wilkie also met with island veterans for more than an hour yesterday afternoon at the governor's office in Adelup. Brian Miranda, chairman of the Guam Veterans Commission, said a lot of good information was exchanged. Wilkie is visiting Saipan today before heading back to Washington, D.C. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Thanks, Kevin. 7:32 is iConnect time. Swing by iConnect and learn what you can about how they can save you money on, mobile and internet plans with iConnect.
Lolita Cabot from RE/MAX Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate RE/MAX professional, is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Cabot from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
Hey, swing by IHOP because they got all kinds of stuff there in the IHOP place. This is the one you gave me a new copy on, right? That I don't have in front of me?
Yeah.
Hold on, it's in here somewhere. It's the pancakes one there and the omelet, the goodness. No, that's not the one that I was wanting to talk about. Ah, is this it? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. IHOP's new buttermilk chicken has arrived. We're very busy here. I have lots of stuff to look at. Natural chicken breasts and signature seasoning blend. Order that with your pancakes, waffles, or breakfast combo. Available for a limited time only. Visit IHOP in Tuning and Tumon.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
Charlie Gizmo time. Let me see what's going on at 7:35 in your neck of the woods. And I assume that many of you are northerners. I'm looking at northbound traffic, Marine Corps Drive. Looking okay as you're making your way towards Anderson Air Force Base. Southbound traffic, not so bad. A little bit of a slowdown. Looks like it's over by the Woostic intersection. Get past that. Should be clean running right up until you get to Dededo. Stop and go traffic at the intersections. Nothing new there. Nothing new at the intersection of 1 and 3. Actually, that's looking pretty good this morning. And 1 and 16, not so bad. The traffic up and down 16 as you get to 8, 10, and 16 is going to keep you busy, especially that turn that goes from Route 10A onto 16 quickly, and then over to Machechi. Pretty busy as you're making your way through there. Southbound Marine Corps Drive, stop-and-go traffic. Again, mostly at the intersections. Route 8 is looking good right up until... Actually, looking good all the way into the downtown Hagutnya area. Once you get past Sinahanya and the 76 up there at the top of the hill, should be all right all the way downtown. Nothing major happening in front of Big Navy and Navy Hospital. Big Navy traffic starting to build, and it's looking like drive time down there for sure. 7:35, that's right now traffic here on The Point.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new ciabatta collection. How do you want it?
I'll take the slam poultry.
Sure. Italian ciabatta with mozzarella. When hunger reigns, you're my favorite umbrella. Tasty garlic steak and provolone. With you, my taste buds are never alone. Savory chicken pesto, you have my affection. For you complete the ciabatta collection. Thank you. That was the new ciabatta collection by Subway. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Maybe it's in the other email account. I don't know. I got like 14 email accounts and trying to figure out where it is. The one that I got the press release from Clint Rigel's office went out yesterday. If you haven't seen it, I read bits and pieces of it to you as I get it into my hands. Decisions and orders, magistrate complaints. Well, there's some interesting magistrate complaints, some real sad stuff floating around here with guys that just can't handle their alcohol and then don't know how to treat women. Unfortunately, as is the case. I think it was a riff on that one of these days. Is just there seems to be a whole lot of a generation that wasn't raised the same way to treat women with any kind of respect or dignity, and especially after they've had a couple of beers, come home, have a lousy day, and then start beating on the wife and the kids. Magistrate reports like that are all over the place. At any rate, I do have the write-up in the Guam Daily Post. Senator wants solutions to build-up's negative economic impacts. And Clint Rigel talking about a line from the actual final supplemental environmental impact statement that drew the assertion that there could be some negative impacts on folks that might be living at the edge of poverty. Certainly increases in the cost of living, homelessness, crime, and low impact of low-income households here on Guam. So there's a thought in my head. And I get it. Any time where there is going to be something as big as this happening, and the numbers of people and dollars that are going to be moving into the community, there are going to be some people that are going to be put out by the change. And it would seem to me that we've got a number of government programs that are in place already that might be able to help see them through these tricky, challenging times that are ahead of them. And maybe there is more that the Department of Defense can do. Now, by way of conversation, Michael Sinicolas, you've heard of him. He's our congressman, and he took some time to do some writing. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I am going to read long from it because I think he makes some points that are important for everybody to consider as we find our footing with this military buildup. Mike Sinicolas says, let's evaluate the economic benefits of the military buildup with all the facts on the tables, shall we? First, yes, it is a risk that our low-income people on the edge of poverty could slip into deeper poverty. Costs could rise to a point that puts strain on families already struggling. As part of the military buildup requirements, the military must disclose this. But this is not a risk unique only to the military buildup. Anytime you've got a multi-billion-dollar investment in a small community like ours that's going to see a 5,000-plus workforce and family increase, these exact same risks will present themselves. The question is, how do we mitigate these risks so the outcome is best managed and as many of our people as possible benefit? And he says this a couple of times. That is a leadership challenge. The reality is that on our present course, the natural attrition of time and inflation will undoubtedly have the same effect of our people on the edge slipping even further. Don't take my word for it. Just look at how many of our people all over the decades have left island, and because it's too hard to make it here. Another assertion is that most civilian military jobs will go to spouses, etc., with only 25% going to the local community. And he ruminates on that, but comes to the conclusion that it's still 25% of these jobs that are going to be coming to Guam, which is a lot better than zero. And it's not just a reference to, and that, he says, is a reference to civilian military jobs, jobs on the base and supporting the base. Not all jobs. There will be new private sector jobs that are going to be coming out, and new opportunities with tax revenue, Section 30, GRT, income tax, corporate and individual. Will use those dollars to fix roads, fund GMH, fix the schools, get more cops, all creating new jobs and better education, health, and public safety for ... our people. Many already living in poverty who need these opportunities for themselves and for their kids. Those on the edge who want to work hard and move up and need the demand from a thriving economy to create opportunities to escape the poverty trap that they are doomed to fall into with the passage of time and inflationary price. And I'm looking to see where's the part where he's taking a swing. There it is. Let's take this build-up money and get it right for our people, says Mike Nicholas. With the exception of one or two others, I appear to be the only one pushing this government to get it right. That is what we as a people need to demand and expect. Demonizing an opportunity makes for a good scare game, but it does nothing to change the present course that has left generations of our people suffering, selling their land, leaving our island, and taking our culture and future generations with them. By law, the military is required to disclose the risks. Lucky us. They did our job for us. Now let's see who the real leaders are and who will hold this government accountable to make sure that our island and our people win. Let's go win, Guam. There's Mike Nicholas, and you can find the entire thing on his Facebook page. That went up somewhere overnight, and I dare say it looks like it is a response to what Clint Rigel is talking about in his desires to now that the military has admitted that there is going to be some folks that are going to be put out. What is it that the U.S. military and the Department of Defense can do about it? You got Mike saying, you know what? That really, at the end of the day, is our job. So let's do our job here. 742, what do you think? What do you got in your mind? You got Margaret Bloss online. Let me see. She's talking about good morning, Tau Tau Guam. It's a nice Wednesday. Well, I've been here in Guam for 3 weeks and leaving my beautiful island of Guam. As a tourist, I was really disturbed with the beauty of Guam. It wasn't the same Guam I left 30 months ago. Check out Matapang Beach. Unkempt maintenance of the picnic area, homeless sleeping on tables we eat on, and stealing our belongings. EPAL, homeless sleeping around in unkempt grounds maintenance. So, Gov, where is your priority on the human health care on homeless people? Island beauty, the safety of our people, and Guam's only revenue, tourism. I might have mentioned that I'd run into a couple of guys. I'd interviewed them as a part of this veterans, Chamorro Veterans in the United States group that was out here for liberation, drumming up some support for their outfit. And I had the chance to talk to them off the air, saying, "Hey, what's it like now that you're home? What did you think of Guam and all of the improvements?" And the guy's like, it's I like the improvements, or wider roads and things like that, and all the new buildings and technologies. He says, yeah, it's different around here. But he said the most disturbing thing that he saw was, he says, it's worse now than it has ever been. And these are guys, mind you, that left Guam in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And they were immediately able to point out just how dirty it is here, how littery it is here, how it seems like nobody seems to care and throw trash out of the car. I was driving to Route 16 yesterday, following this car, and out from the passenger window, there's just throw a thing of coffee out. Just like I couldn't possibly keep this in the car. It's radioactive. It's nuclear. I've got to throw it out of the vehicle right now. And so it's out on Route 16 somewhere, taking up space. So those are among some of the priorities that folks are talking about today. Clint Rigel joining me now. Hey, Clint, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Senator. Nice to hear from you. I don't have in front of me the paperwork that you put out yesterday, the press release that you had inquiring of the Department of Defense what their role is going to be in terms of mitigating the economic crisis that could be born on some of the people of Guam. I don't have it in front of me, but if you would, just give me a little cliff notes on what your understanding is and what really do you expect the military, how do you expect them to respond?
I have no idea. My main intent was just to draw attention to this, that these are all the possible negative impacts that I'm pointing out are all directly from these are DOD's own words, essentially. These are from DOD's own documents that they produced, the final supplemental environmental impact statement, as well as the record of decision. That's where I got a bunch of sections that talk about potential negative impacts to low-income households, to increasing the cost of living, increasing the cost of housing, things of that nature. So essentially, I just really wanted to draw attention to that in light of the, a lot of the talk about the buildup has been about the positive economic impacts, and I'm not denying that there will be some positive economic impacts. Of course, there's businesses that will make money. There are people that will make money. There's some things that will stimulate an economy. But the DOD's own documents also show that there are potential negative impacts to the cost of living and to particularly lower income households.
Oh, the households are hurting right now. I mean, never mind the lack of military buildup or any action that's taken place. There are already the households, as you know, there's a working husband, a working wife, and still not making enough money to be able to cover the 80% that they need to cover, the 20% that they need to cover at the bank to get themselves into some decent housing around here. So notwithstanding anything that happens in the future, we need to start working on problems like that now. But like I said, I mean, you're drawing attention to it and now asking of the Department of Defense what plans that they have or what's already in the books that they might be able to provide to mitigate some of that impact. And like I said, I got to think that you've got some ideas on what the DOD can do.
Yeah, no, I don't know what they can do. I have no idea what they could do because I didn't really find anything in the. I mean, maybe I missed it. It's a huge document. There's so much stuff.
Oh, yeah. Thousands of pages.
So, I wasn't able to find anything that directly said sort of how it would mitigate the impacts. I think overall what they say is more along the lines of that the jobs that the buildup will bring.
Civilian jobs, military jobs for sure, and civilian jobs for sure. And, the numbers of people that are going to be coming out here with incomes already, income streams because they're working, is going to should tickle the economy up. And whether or not it trickles down to people that want to work, I'm sure that the people that, if you want to get a job with all of the additional people here and all of the additional spend going on, you should be able to find one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. It does point to some people coming to Guam looking for particularly FAS immigrants and other people like that coming to Guam in hopes of getting military jobs or jobs from the buildup, but then, they don't qualify for construction labor. They don't get hired by civilian military jobs. So that's something else that they point out as well. So it's even sort of, I think their final take on unemployment is that unemployment might either remain the same or really they don't have any good data. In fact, they say that most of their data on employment is qualitative versus quantitative.
I'm sure the same can be said of any data that we've got around here. In terms of employment, see where those numbers are. I kind of want to challenge you, Clint, not necessarily on your position and wanting to call out the military and ask them what it is that they can do to mitigate the impacts, but as a representative in the 35th Guam Legislature, if you want to help mitigate the impacts on life here on Guam for working poor and poor stiffs in general, if you supported the rollback of the business privilege tax, if you supported the rollback of the liquid fuels tax, that would benefit everybody on Guam. And we don't have to wait for the DOD to do anything. That's an action that can be taken by the legislature anytime.
The liquid fuel tax, I agree. That should lower fuel prices. But as far as rolling back the business privilege tax, I don't believe it'll lower prices. I think businesses will keep their prices the same.
No, I think the businesses will keep their prices the same until competition kicks in, but we won't know and I don't know that that's a good reason to avoid it. We know that some businesses will drop their prices almost immediately, and things could get a little bit better for folks at the edge.
Yeah, what I'm going based off of is the last time the GRT was rolled back, businesses didn't roll back their prices. They kept it the same. And that's testimony that was even provided by other businessmen at the time that they were proposing to raise the tax. See, I was not for raising that tax in the first place. My problem now is if we roll it back, our price is going to roll back.
No. Probably not. They probably wouldn't, because the way it works in business, and you know this, you've seen it, is now we know what the upper limit is that a customer will buy a cup of coffee for, or a six-pack of beer, or a loaf of bread. So that number doesn't need to go down. We'll keep that money, and I might hire a guy with it, or I might go to the store and buy some new equipment for my business. Might go and go see Triple J, buy a car, go up to Cars Plus, and buy a delivery Jeep.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, the most it would do is it would afford businesses the opportunity to reinvest back into their business. But, you know, I'm not convinced it would necessarily reduce the cost of living.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say I told you so. And you weren't there in the 34th Guam legislature. I said that was going to happen, but they did it anyway. So we got to find a way to roll. We got to have the conversation about rolling it back.
Yeah, I didn't agree when it was raised in the first place.
But I guess the other thing I want to challenge you on, like I said, Clint and I are friends for a long time. We can agree and disagree at times. And I kind of disagree on this, because I think that every bill that comes out of the legislature, especially this new budget bill that you guys are going to be coming up with, I think you need to run it through the same filter that you're asking the DOD to do today. That we know that there are going to be impacts in the cost of living, poverty, homelessness, crime, and how this is going to impact low-income households. And we've got to ask the same questions of ourselves on every measure that passes through the legislature. So I would hope that you would do that for your colleagues with the same vigor that you're doing that with the Department of Defense.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, you know, I'm not, you know, my goal here is not to, what's the word? My goal here is not to bash DOD or anything like that. My goal here is really just to draw attention to, you know, this is their own admission. This is from their documents.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think people realize that. So, just I think we need to be aware so we can begin to address it. What are all the solutions? I'm not sure. I'm doing my best to figure out what kind of solutions we can do on our end to try to improve things and improve the cost of living. The cost of living is a very difficult question to answer.
Well, it's a moving target as well. But as I say, you know, there's things that maybe the federal government can do and have already done. You know, I'm thinking in my head, ratepayers are not going to be hit with $122 million of additional debt and additional spending at GWA because the Department of Defense has found $122 million for the Northern Wastewater Treatment Plant, and that's for everybody. That's not, you know, they're going to be treating everybody's poop, not just military poop, our poop as well. So I think that's something that is a benefit to all of the ratepayers. Anybody that's got a water bill is not going to feel that impact.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good benefit. And of course, like I'm saying, I'm not saying that there aren't going to be any benefits from it. I'm just pointing out what the military is warning us could happen. I mean, this is the military warning us. This is their word saying that these things could happen, that homelessness could increase, that people could slip further into poverty. So we need to start preparing. What do we do about it? I'm not sure. I just also think people should be aware. So that way, if the buildup goes through as planned, and then let's say 10, 20 years from now, people aren't scratching their heads wondering, why is the cost of living so high? You know, now we can point back and say, well, this is what they wanted.
They told us this was going to happen, but I would agree. I would further that and say that they put that in there, and they probably should have put an asterisk. Say legislature and administration of the government of Guam needs to look at this as well, because it really is, I think, a leadership issue. I think there's more that needs to be done and looked at, so that overall this is a win for everybody in the community. There's always going to be poor people. There's always going to be people living at the edge. You got to figure out how we can give them the tools that they need so that they can take best advantage of this military buildup.
Absolutely, that's true. And one of the things I've been doing just out of my office is, for example, I've been working really hard on getting as many people into the GCA Trades Academy as I can, especially within the FAS community, because I've been doing a lot of work with the FAS community. So I've been in discussions and meetings with Bert Johnson at the GCA Trades Academy. He told us about this program they currently have that actually you can take classes there for free right now, pre-apprenticeship classes for free. So we've been passing that out throughout the FAS community, and I've even gone as far as taking people down there and physically helping them sign up for the for those free classes.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they can hopefully take advantage of the construction jobs.
Well, you got me thinking about other things that we need to do. I know we get federal dollars for transportation. Let's figure out how to clean up whatever this mess is that we've got at the GRTA, so that there really is a thriving and useful public transportation system on Guam.
Absolutely.
There's another thing that's going to save everybody money, whether you're a citizen of the FAS or a citizen of DEDA or a citizen of Anderson Air Force Base. Clint, I got to run. I got Mark Mendiola on the line. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Beer Summit, bro.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, man. 888-825-5888-TALK. And I got furniture at my house. It's not new furniture. It's new and improved and used from Mark Mendiola's place, dude. You know what? It's my favorite thing when I go to some of these for sale sites on Facebook and go, oh, I know that guy. I know that guy. And it's not just because you gave me a big stinking discount on the dresser either.
No worries, man. Yeah, you know, when it could be put to better use and good use, then we're up for it, you know.
Oh, trust me, I'm gonna love it. I haven't put it together quite just yet at the house. I'm looking for its final resting place over at the house. But thanks very, very much. I've got my house is all secondhand junk. I've got Renee Logie's mirror, and I've got your dresser, and I got my friend CJ's living room coffee table, and virtually everything else in the house I got secondhand, which the people over at the furniture stores hate. But I like to reduce, reuse, recycle, all of that. 756, and I'm scratching my head. I think the same way that John and certain administrators of your schools on Guam are scratching their head, wondering why the legislature in this budget has decided that they were going to allow for what sounds like kind of decentralization over the budget process. We'll just identify all the schools and throw some budget money at them and let the principals run things.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of interesting. They said that it was kind of like a site-based management model. And, you know, one of the principals stood up and said, hey, you know, you guys tried this in 1990. We went through all these things, and it never went anywhere. And then, of course, you know, our budget.
Well, I mean, wait a second, because Joe S. has been an advocate for that for a long time. I remember when he was on the Board of Education. He was advocating for decentralization for a long time. But it seems to me that this is one of those kinds of things like going from business privilege tax to a visible sales tax. So you'd really, really want to plan this out over a long period of time, as opposed to, hey, I got a new budget for you, and principals, now you're in charge of making sure that Barrett Plumbing comes and fixes the toilet, and we got another guy that's going to put ceiling tiles on, and another guy that's going to be doing air conditioner repair. You guys get to determine all of that.
Right. And, you know, that was the thing that we were kind of, you know, he said that we're supporting the schools and giving their funding, but it's kind of like a cap. He really capped it at you know, he said, for instance, the Gatling Heights Elementary is going to get 2.3, and he's giving them everything they requested. But that was not the original request. He shorted them. If he's going to follow that logic, he shorted them by almost $500,000.
Yikes!
And you know, when we submitted the initial budget and we went down to the public hearings, we go to all these hearings, and it's kind of like you know, after that they don't engage, and then they come up with a bill and they submit it. But I got to give him credit though. He's got to balance, you know, within government. But the Department of Education, we start the school year in about a couple of days. And, you know, for us to shift that and put that responsibility onto the administrators, and they don't even understand the full implications of that decision, you know, that's one of the reasons why we said, hey, let's take a look at this. So what we decided yesterday, and this is, we're going to invite all the senators, they usually come down to the legislature. We're going to say, please come to DOE. Come up to the central office and listen to the principals, listen to the administrators, because I don't think it was really thought out well. You said there were some principals that requested for this.
That's like surprise. Yeah, they requested it. I'm sure that they requested it, and there should be a blue ribbon team, and there ought to be the same attention paid to rolling this concept out as there was with the divorce of the IIAG and the Department of Education. There really needs to be a broader conversation. I don't mind having it. And like I said, I've interviewed Joe S. a dozen times when he was at the Department of Education, and knew that he was a fan of decentralization to that degree, but it doesn't mean that you can just kind of throw it out there like, surprise, we're doing this year.
Right, Ray. You know, the one thing that's really interesting is we have our federal partners right now. We're about to get out this high-risk status, high designation status for all the work that we've done in the central office to improve. 6 years we had a clean internal audit. We had 0 material weaknesses.
Oh, my God. Wait a second. Yeah. And so what happens when all of that moves out of the central office and is controlled, the federal spend gets controlled by the different schools and by the different administrators? Yeah, you got to have that longer conversation. Yeah, I want to, I got news in like 25 seconds, so I'm going to ring you back in the next hour after we do sports and stuff. And I want to finish the thread here and then talk a little bit more about decoupling from the third-party fiduciary agents. Right on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mark Mendiola from the DOE, from the Ed Board here as the conversation continues. Fox News Live is up next. On the other side of that, Kevin Kerrigan with news, and then Blake Watson, Mike, and I are going to spend some time and pretend to talk about sports. All happening here on The Point.
Still separated. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The American Civil Liberties Union says hundreds of children are being separated from their families at the border despite a judge's order to all but end the practice. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, the ACLU says the number of kids separated from their parents, even after that judge's order last year to reduce that number, exceeds 900. An ACLU court filing breaks down the numbers further, saying a majority of the kids' parents faced criminal allegations, had gang ties, or the kids' relationships with the adults were not verified. The ACLU says it also discovered that 1 in every 5 children split from their families were younger than 5 years old. So far, the Trump administration has not responded, Lisa.
Gernal, thanks. Debate round 2 in just about 2 hours. 10 of the Democrats running for president will hit the stage in Detroit for a debate. Another 10 will take the stage tomorrow. North Korea has fired more missiles. The North's Joint Chiefs of Staff says multiple projectiles were fired off the East Coast. Wall Street at the close. All major indexes closing slightly lower as investors look ahead to tomorrow's expected announcement from the Fed.
The Fed expected to cut interest rates for the first time since the collapse of the late 2000s. Tomorrow, quarter-point drop in the Fed funds rate is expected, but the big question is, will Jerome Powell continue to cut interest rates, or will tomorrow's cut be it? The president has criticized Powell and complained long and loud that he raised interest rates too quickly last year, which has put the United States at a competitive disadvantage by causing an overvalued dollar. The president says the United States can weather the current environment, but that he wants more cuts.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. The Dow off 23. The Nasdaq lost 19. The S&P slipped 7 points. This is Fox News.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65% for travel, back to school, a wedding. Do whatever you want with the money. During July, we just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hapa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mescla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mescla, a true taste of Guam.
California's governor signs a measure that has President Trump's attorneys saying, see in court.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law that says if you want to be on the ballot running for governor or president in California, you have to make public the last 5 years of your tax returns to provide transparency on conflicts of interest, self-dealing, or influence from domestic and foreign business interests. Now, this would mean President Trump would not be able to appear on the 2020 ballot in this state. The president's attorney, Jay Sekulow, said the state of California's attempt to circumvent the Constitution will be answered in court. Now, litigation fears are what previous Governor Jerry Brown blamed when he vetoed similar legislation. Besides, he asked what will be demanded next? Health records? Birth certificates? Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
President Trump continuing his barbs against Maryland Democrat Elijah Cummings, accusing Cummings of being part of the problem in the city of Baltimore.
I'm not angry at anybody. I'm just saying Elijah Cummings has been there for 26 years. He's really, by far, the highest-ranking politician. He's seen these mayors get thrown out. They're all friends of his.
President with his remarks after an event in Virginia. Some Democrats calling the president's comments about Baltimore racist. The court battle over this song continues. A jury ruled yesterday the song called Dark Horse by Katy Perry copied a Christian rap song. Attorneys for the songwriter say the song earned $41 million. An agreement entered in court today states Perry's earned $3.2 million from the Dark Horse song while incurring an $800,000 in costs. The bulk of the penalty phase will focus on Capitol Records, whose attorneys say the label earned $31 million from the song, but after costs, its profits were a mere $630,000. Testimony about the costs will begin tomorrow. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Weekday shopping just got exciting. Join the Agania Shopping Center's Shop and Win on Weekdays promo. Shop or dine at any ASC store or restaurant on weekdays from now till October 31st. Show your receipt at the ASC booth and win instantly. Every $20 spent gets you an entry form to win big at the monthly draws, including round-trip tickets to Manila, $500 ASC gift certificates, and more. See posters and print ads for more. Special thanks to Sky Zone, Fundamental Writers, Vince Jewelers, and Wendy's.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about the food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities. But with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE, the smarter choice.
IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Why am I running? Because IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Whoa! We're talking chicken sandwiches, chicken and waffles, even chicken and pancakes. But move it, Gray Van! IHOP has crispy chicken!
Run in to try IHOP's new buttermilk crispy chicken strips and pancakes for just $6.99. For a limited time, price and participating restaurants may vary.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam police are asking for the public's help in locating 27-year-old Thomas Mark Mendiola Titano, who is wanted for questioning in connection with the fatal shooting of Keith Castro Sunday night. Details surrounding Castro's murder remain unclear. No arrests have been made yet. Titano is being sought for any information that he might have on the shooting, which happened along Chalantun Fred Cabeza, just off Route 15, the back road to Anderson. Titano was last seen fleeing from police on Monday night along Chalan Evangelista in Jigo. Titano is on parole for a 2014 arson case, and an outstanding warrant for his arrest had already been issued prior to the shooting because he had failed to check in with his parole officer. Titano, also known as Mossy Titano, is described as standing 5 feet 6 to 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighing between 180 and 190 pounds. He has a dark complexion and short to medium brown hair. His photograph can be seen on the Guam Daily Post website. Senator Clint Ridgell wants the Department of Defense to find solutions to the negative economic impacts of the Guam military buildup, which he says the military itself has already identified in its own impact statement. The senator issued a news release yesterday challenging claims that the buildup will be good for the Guam economy by pointing out the negative impacts. The senator cites page 12 of the Record of Decision, which states that the military buildup may stress some sectors of the Guam economy by raising the cost of goods and services. That would be felt more severely by low-income people, states the report. Senator Ridgell said the buildup will create more jobs, but many of those jobs will be filled more by off-island H-2B workers and not local workers. The senator is calling on the Department of Defense to come up with ways to address those negative economic impacts, since it is their proposed action that will cause them. We'll have more news after this.
The summer of Jeep, Compass, Cherokee, Wrangler, Cars Plus, and Mighty. Your new adventure starts now. Buy the 2019 Motor Trend SUV of the year and get a new Jeep Wrangler Sport for $268 per paycheck. Or get a new Jeep Compass Sport, only $167 per paycheck. Let them hear you coming in the new 2019 Jeep Cherokee. Buy for $205 per paycheck. And get financing as low as 1.99% on all Jeep models. Come see why you'll be kicking it at Cars Plus in Mighty. Driven by you.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new ciabatta collection. How do you want it?
I'll take the slam poultry.
Sure. Italian ciabatta with mozzarella. When hunger reigns, you're my favorite umbrella. Tasty garlic steak and provolone. With you, my taste buds are never alone. Savory chicken pesto, you have my affection. For you complete the ciabatta collection. Thank you. That was the new ciabatta collection by Subway. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
10 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Finance Committee Chairman Senator Joe San Augustine is defending the revised 2020 spending plan he resubmitted Monday as a status quo budget that keeps spending at a minimum, but he's warning against any reduction in taxes. During a news conference on the budget bill yesterday, San Augustine said he opposes rolling back the business privilege tax from 5 to 4% as proposed by Senator James Moylan. A 1 percentage point reduction in the BBT would result in a loss of $60 million off the bat, said the senator. Which agency are we going to reduce $60 million by, he asked. San Augustine was joined by Finance and Budget Director Stephen Guerrero at the news conference yesterday. Guerrero said, wherever we could cut, we tried to cut in this budget. In related news, the spending plan for the Guam Department of Education in that 2020 budget bill is being questioned by DOE officials. Unlike in past years, $199 million of DOE's proposed $219 million budget will go directly to schools by assigning each school its own individual appropriation. At a DOE work session with the Guam Education Board yesterday, Board Chairman Mark Mendiola said assigning an allocation to each school means the legislature is essentially micromanaging the Education Department. However, both Finance Committee Chairman Senator Joe San Augustine and Office of Finance and Budget Director Stephen Guerrero at their news conference yesterday denied that accusation, saying that they structured the budget in that way to give school principals what they had asked for. And both San Augustine and Guerrero said Superintendent John Fernandez would still retain authority over those allocations. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with the letter.
I'm sorry, I got to laugh. So Joe S. says, where do we want to cut $60 million from?
Yeah, we
could do that. The people on Facebook Live right now could do that. We'll start with the Mayor's Council of Guam, and we'll just start moving our way out and find $60 million so we can take our percent of the 25% of the business privilege tax back. 8:12 in the morning, partly cloudy skies, Kevin, with isolated showers becoming mostly cloudy this afternoon. Expect some scattered showers and isolated light and variable winds. Highs today about 89 degrees. Overnight low 78 degrees. Sunset tonight about 6:49 as it is going down earlier and coming up later as well. 6:05 is the time that we had a little bit of a sunset today. It's our sunrise this morning. 8:12 in the morning. We'll take a look at the weather radar. Mike will tell you what second string traffickers can expect on their way into work this morning. What's it look like from the Weather Center?
Well, it looks like they'll see pretty much what the first stringers saw. Not much going on the island right now. Do have some clouds passing through, and they look a little rainy-ish, but they're not dumping really much on us. You might hit a shower or two as we go on through the rest of the morning because the sun is out, and as we get more sunshine, that actually raises the risk of these afternoon thunderstorms that are going to probably form up over the island a little bit later. Looks like we're getting a very light southerly flow, southwesterly a little bit to it. That could take any moisture. It's just
weird.
Yeah, that could take, and of course the stuff down to the south is moving from east to west. So there you go. That blobbage could be making its way up here over the next couple of days, but looks like today we're just running the risk of those afternoon thunderstorms. With the direction of these winds, it may be bringing this moisture right along the entire length of the island. So by the time it gets up north, it could be real nasty. We'll have to see how it goes. Just if you live anywhere on Guam at this afternoon around lunchtime, you can expect to be seeing some rain. Part of our changes in the wind direction is a 94 WNVest. That's at Blobbage, just off to our northwest. It'll be pulling away. It's a very weak system, not much to it, but that has created a little bit of a swirl there, and that's bringing those weak southwesterly winds in here. Got another bit of Blobbage, 93 WNVest.
This is weird, because I'm looking at the shear line. It's like that thing is moving in a southwesterly direction. Then you've got that Blobbage that's pushing in a northeasterly direction.
Yeah, well, then that's what we have, an elongated trough. Now, remember, a trough is actually low pressure, and the air does circulate counterclockwise, but along a longer stretch of real estate. So that's what you're seeing. You're seeing these northerly, the easterly winds along the north side of the trough, and then you get out towards the Philippines, and it turns back around, and you start getting these westerly winds and southwesterly winds, and it just makes for a whole mess down there.
It's the devil's work.
It really is, and this is the time of the year. And I was looking at the sea surface temperatures a little while ago, and it's really warm out there. So if anything does start to form, we're going to have to keep an eye.
That's where we'll find it. I got you. 8:14 or so in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
I got you. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by Ron and Kim and the team over at Security Title. If you've got a complicated mess that you are dealing with right now, call them and they will uncomplicate it for you. Just let them take over. Just you sit back and just breathe. The people over at Security Title have got this. Micronesia Renewable Energy. Never been a better time to go solar because we got batteries that go with your solar panels now. APL, with its American President lines, a global presence with a local home, and a team over at Ruby Tuesdays that want to put together a great happy hour for you. Stop by between 4 and 6 today and get select draft wines, sangrias, and select beers, or an RT Tipsy Palmer or a Ruby Relaxer for like $5. Plus, they got $5 appetizers as well. Where? At Ruby Tuesdays.
Get a Coke 12-pack for only $3.49 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a dozen extra-large eggs for only 49 cents when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a case of Circle K water for only $2.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy.
Take Care Insurance brings you portions of the Ray Gibson Show, as does my friends over at Cars Plus. The summer of the Jeep has been extended. It was going to end today. However, they've decided that, hey, you know what? We still want to give people a chance to get into these rides. The Cherokee, Grand Cherokee, the Compass, and, of course, the Wrangler at 1.99%. So go and do a test drive today. And then when you're done, top down, cruising around, make the first stop Wendy's and go get yourself a Berry Burst chicken salad. It's got strawberries in it. It's got blueberries in it. It's got feta cheese. We got that grilled chicken on top of the greens, and then we're going to sprinkle some almond crumbs on it. And then the last thing is the irresistible part is the raspberry vinaigrette dressing that goes on top of this. Brings all of the flavors together. You're really going to enjoy this salad at Wendy's.
Real Talk Radio is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Trying to make it sound like some kind of crazy EDM party around here. Where's my thumb sucker? Where's my deal? It's what they do. They do those things. But it's that whole rave EDM community. We're not enemies. We're not strangers. We're just friends that haven't met yet. 8:18 in the morning. It is the Ray Gibson Show until it's not going to be. That's far, far away. In the meantime, we got all kinds of different things and topics that we can keep your brain going with. It's like bubble gum for the brain. There's always got to be something shooting into the ears and getting you thinking about, just stuff. Now, we spent a little bit of time with Clint Rigel in the last hour. A little bit of time with Mark Mandiola. We'll get him back on a little bit later on because because I wanted to find out where they are with a third-party fiduciary agent, because that could free up millions of dollars worth of spend in the Department of Education. And those are dollars that they sorely need because the legislature is screwing the kids and the teachers all kinds of money and making some last-minute changes on really how the schools are actually operated at the school level. This is going to be a fun conversation to get into. But anyway, so we got that coming up. But in the meantime, something that we do about this time every single day, Sports with Blake. So all over the regular press, I'm noting that people are finally learning more about something that you and I were talking about on Monday, and that is a 16-year-old kid winning $3 million. That story has gone much wider than it originally was on Monday.
Isn't that crazy how everybody's starting to like I was saying, like we've been saying, how e-games starting to move the needle, and I think it is because 16-year-old kids can win $3 million.
Exactly.
And it's a sport. It's real.
So you got that going on. So there may be a growing number of children. I tried to convince my daughter about this, but she's smarter than that. And I'm like, sweetheart, I don't think that you need to actually finish high school. And she's like, what's that, Dad? Haven't even had my first day. What do you mean? And I said, because you could be one of these YouTube personalities, or, you know what, I'll invest in like a PlayStation or something, and then you can win millions of dollars in Fortnite for girls. When they break it down, when they say, okay, we're going to do Fortnite for guys, we're going to do Fortnite for girls, you can represent Guam as our Fortnite challenger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And win a few million. By then, hopefully, the purse will be bigger.
I just think I'd save all kinds of money on tuition and uniforms.
And time. A lot of, those well, I guess you don't really do the morning drops.
Orientations. I don't have to do orientations. I don't have to do parent-teacher conferences. Just, here. How did we do in what's the name of the game again?
Fortnite.
How did we do in Fortnite today?
What kind of weapon? I couldn't even tell you much about. I've never even played the game. I don't know anything about it. So
isn't it one of those games like all of the other RPMMO, RPHs, and that kind of thing? Isn't it where, you kind of show up naked, and then you've got to get your tools and your weapons and then game up your whatever, your intellect or your health.
Yeah, I think you have to play.
Like, you got to pay people in Bitcoin to get all of those things.
Right, and rank up. Mm-hmm. And then there's also like special edition. So if you want like a special edition pack of like uniforms and weapons, then you'll pay. Or some of them you can earn by, points or,
Oh, yeah, but you'd never earn enough points. You'd never get enough points to be able to enjoy it right away. So it's easier to whip out mom and dad's credit cards and saying, okay, I want Thor's hammer.
Right, and sometimes like a Thor's hammer could be an exclusive where you couldn't even like get enough points to get it. You have to buy it.
Yeah.
That happens too, which is smart, but it's also kind of unfortunate if
it can be very expensive. So
if you're a gamer,
But if you're wondering how outfits are able to pay $3 million to a 16-year-old kid, that's how they're doing it.
That's how. And like we said, this was all put on by the developer Epic Games. Yeah. So, it is kind of, I guess, nice of them to put some of it back to the fans.
It's a scam.
Yeah.
It's a scam. Oh, yeah. Now, on e-games, on the subject of e-games, a question, because every once in a while I'll see all kinds of people like over at Skinner Plaza with their cell phones, and there's no food truck Thursday, and it's not Wednesday, and there's no 5K or something like that. Are there still sightings of Pokemon that's still going on?
Yeah. I had a friend that I haven't seen him in probably since about halfway through the summer. So maybe it's been a month since I've seen him. And about a month ago, he was still playing Pokemon Go. And he's a grown man. He's 28, 29 years old. So, I go, that's still going on? He goes, oh, yeah.
I guess. Now, weren't they coming out with another one where it was going to be not Pokemon, but like a Hogwarts theme with, what's his name, Howard Potter?
Yes, they were going to do a Harry Potter one of some kind. Yeah, but I don't really know what happened there. Maybe the Pokemon... Because, Pokemon hit a little snag, right, where people were kind of glitching it out, and they weren't really traveling to places, but yet they were catching Pokemons from India, but not leaving Guam.
So,
or really
but I think one of the other problems is that people like me recognized it for the scam that it was, and and that was one of those things where it's if you want to catch this rarefied that we just made it up yesterday, the Pokeray. If you wanted to catch the Pokeraymon, then what you had to do was hey, come by a mall and you might be able to catch it there. Of course, the mall is able to go back to the developers of the game and say, we need a Poke Raymon in our facility. We'll start telling people about it, and then they will wander around the mall, and who knows, might even buy something.
They'll probably buy stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean,
or people were robbing people.
Just a
right?
scam.
Were people robbing people? Like like they were luring them to Pokemons, and then they were
and then beat them.
Yeah, and then robbing them.
And now that's just an Uber thing. But anyway, so now what do we got for sports? It's a Wednesday, and there's going to be a weekend coming up. 5Ks and 10Ks. We've got a couple of them. There's the 2K, 5K Run the Race. This is going to take place Chamorro Village Saturday, August the 10th. Saturday, August the 10th, there will be a 2K, 5K also at Tiedzen, and that's a party being thrown by Mayor Junie Blas from up in Barragata. So you've got a choice of what you can do. Although this might help narrow your choice. The winning prize, the grand raffle prize for the one at Chamorro Village, is a trip to Osaka, Japan.
Yes.
Yep. So
it's the same night. Same night, right? August 10th, 5 to 8.
Yeah, there might be a couple of other. I'm looking at the back page of the post. 30-second. Oh, Tsunami 5K. Oh, that's the 10K is this weekend. The Tsunami 10K, and this is a great race. This also agate. So
yes.
We start over at the park, and then run clear past the other side of the hotel, and then Aga Louie, and then come back. So if
harder coming back.
That doesn't make that much difference.
It's flat, right?
Yeah, it's harder coming back because you're already 3.5 miles
because
in.
you've been running.
Tired now. So yeah, it's a little tiring, but it's totally survivable and mostly flat. It's a great race.
I've also got on my little schedule here the Onward Mangilao Golf Club Fun Run, which is always fun because you get to run the course. And I believe that they take you even by the Golf Digest at the hole 13 on the course.
But you're not running and playing.
No. You just get to run. You just get to run the cart path.
Okay.
But it's cool. You get to see all the holes where otherwise, people who don't golf probably wouldn't get to see.
It is one of the prettiest, most pristine. It's just gorgeous there.
Especially that time. It's 5:15 on the east side of the island.
It'll rain. It'll rain. It always rains, and that makes because there's some steep downhills, and that makes those kind of treacherous as you're going down the hill, and then you realize, wait a second, I don't have any brakes. Right. There's no slowing down. So you just haul it all the way down. Then you get this great run of the course, and then there is the difficult part. The last, I don't know, not even a quarter of a mile, I don't think, and it's virtually uphill. No, it's just straight up. It's just straight up. I mean, it's a heartbreaker. It really is.
Easy in a golf cart.
Oh, yeah.
Easy in a golf cart. Not so much when you're running.
There's guys that are handing out water and vitamins and salt tablets and things like that. I mean, it's totally survivable. But and I have, like I said, I've run that course many, many times with different strategies in my head. I'll start slow and I'll speed up at the end, and that way I'll have some juice to get me up the hill. That didn't work, and then I thought, well, I'll just start out, maintain the same pace as much as possible, and then maybe that will give me the juices I need to get up the hill. And then there's the one where it's just screw it, just go hell bent for leather as fast as you can all the way through the course, and then know that you're going to struggle and walk at the end. And my times have been virtually identical.
It's got interesting points that I like about it. It's got to be one of the quietest 5Ks and 10Ks, because you're out there on the golf course. There's not much going on but that event. It's the rare 10K event because it is a 10K, and also sometimes because it's early. Sometimes when you get down into the jungle parts, it can get a little dark. One of the darkest probably 5Ks, 10Ks, because you run through the jungle for a little bit, then you run out.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, if that's a big deal for you, then I would suggest that if I were to run, I think I'd just run the 5. I'm
5K, not the 10.
I'm going to leave everything in everything I've got in the tank for Philippines, and the Run With Me 10, runwithme.ph, and the World Wide Web. That gets you all the registration information that you need. And I'm actually starting to hear from people going, yeah, I think I am going to run with you. I'll be in the Philippines on the 25th of August. Yeah, I'll run with you.
I saw you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Were you posing with in a picture advertising that?
I did.
I saw that.
I was that guy. They
crossed my feed.
It's one of the things I did in the Philippines the last time I was out there. You guys thought I was screwing around, weren't you?
I thought you were working.
No, I was working, bud. All right, so, do we have any other sports going on?
I do have this. This is just a quick hit because it is summer, not a lot going on, but this is going on. The Saipan Derby. The team of Captain Mike James, Dominic Sangill, Adam Sangill, and Christian Camacho, they reeled in a 238-pound marlin. They get second place in the billfish category aboard the Emmanuel. They also won a spot and will represent Guam in the All-Micronesian Fishing Tournament going down in September 7th through the 8th over in Majuro or Majuro? Majuro, either way, Marshall Islands. So about a month or so, a little over a month.
Don't you get mad when they mispronounce your name?
I don't usually.
I don't know. Blake Watson's kind of hard to mess up.
Blake.
Blake Watson. Hey, real quick, you sent me, and I also got it on Facebook and filled it out. But the survey about Guam Major League Baseball from GSPN.
Yep.
I encourage people to fill that out and tell the truth. I did, but in a nice Texan way. But I let them know that really what they're putting out there is far below par for what it should be. So we'll see how that survey goes and what they release on that. Also, those that want to join in on our Pick'em group, once again, go to Yahoo. All right.
I think we might have to change that. We might have to change the nomenclature on that to Current Guam Pick'em.
That's right.
We have a sponsor.
We have a sponsor for it.
Okay. Well, we'll worry about that. We'll write that up later.
No, I think it's there. I think with this
Current Guam Pick'ems.
Yeah, Current Guam Pick'ems. I think that's what we're gonna. Start calling it.
I can't actually go in there and change the name
but
anymore.
I mean, we can
start calling it.
Yeah, we'll start calling it that.
But so go in there, and what you're looking for is you're going to go into Yahoo. If you have an account, it's real easy. Just sign in. If you don't, it's real easy to sign up. It takes no time at all. Then you go into you go to sports, go to fantasy sports. Then you look up the Pro Football Pick'em. It'll ask you, give you a couple of buttons at the top. One says create a group. The other says join a group. You're going to join a group. Our group number, and this is what you need to know. This is the most important thing, 3384. 3384 is our group number. When you pop that number in, it'll pull you up. It should say the Point 2019 Pick'em.
Yeah.
And you're basically signed in at that point. You can make your team name, get signed up, and get ready. This will start week 1 is when it actually officially starts, and it will end at the end of regulation season. So there will be no playoffs or anything like that. So the best of the best at the end of the 16 weeks or 17 weeks is the wiener.
And you'll get a fabulous prize that I'm still working on.
Yes. Yeah, you're going to get a really good prize. It's going to be a lot of fun too. Because I'm glad you took out the points. So this time,
it's just flat. It's just straight, right?
And
so
it's
I mean,
easy,
whoever's got the best record of picking will win. There's no huckleberries, and there's no gimmies, and there's no any of that stuff.
And hopefully we don't have tie records at the end.
And by the way, when you're trying to join the league, you put in the number, and you'll have to put in a password. The password is Ray Gibson.
All right, and
it's all lowercase, one word.
If we do run into a situation where there's a tie and we've got people that are really really good and got the numbers exact, then we'll have trial by combat.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll find someplace. I'm thinking we'll move the tables over at Carabao or a Tap House and move those out and just have a little trial by combat.
We can all bang our steins on
sure.
the
Or wherever current Guam's going to have their big deal that night. It's 8:30 in the morning. I think that's all the time that we've got to pretend to talk about sports. Yeah, I know that there's probably some real headline sports going on, and maybe we ought to be looking at something on basketball or football or baseball or some such thing. But you know where to find that information. This is where you find the fun stuff about sports. It's 8:31. Blake Watson's going to go and finish his morning show over on Star 101. We will bring you our last look at headlines from the Guam Daily Post and Kevin Kerrigan next.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
Wiggly Wednesday. It's a Wiggly Wednesday because it's one of those days you start challenging some people on decisions that they've made, press releases that gone out, and start to get that wiggly feeling. Are you getting that wiggly feeling? Wiggle it just a little bit. Question the authority. Why don't you? Bottom of the hour on the program. And note from what's his name? Blake, just before he left, the first actual game in the football season, the first actual official NFL game is going to be September the 5th, 10 o'clock in the morning. Bears-Packers game. Should be exciting. Now, speaking of excitement, it's Mr. Excitement. Kevin Kerrigan for the Guam Daily Post. Here's headlines.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning. Take Care Insurance reviewing its options after the Office of Public Accountability yesterday denied the company's protest over the procurement for the GovGuam health insurance contract that requires bidders to provide coverage at Guam Regional Medical City. The decision, signed by hearing officer Anthony Camacho, found that Take Care was not an actual or prospective bidder because they missed the deadline for filing a protest. Take Care has protested the procurement, asserting in part that requiring health insurers to cover care at GRMC would eliminate competition and deny equal protection. Take Care still has the option of challenging the health insurance procurement in Superior Court. A statement yesterday from the company after the OPA's decision says that they are reviewing the decision with legal counsel and they will consider other options, including a possible judicial review. John Del Celerio Bulato has been accused of stealing computers from the Lotte Hotel on 3 occasions. The first reported theft dates back to February 4th. The hotel's video surveillance showed a man pulling up to the hotel in a silver pickup truck, walking into the hotel, and then walking out with computers and monitors. Again, on February 22nd, police got a second theft complaint from the Lotte Hotel showing the same truck and the same man walking into the business center and walking out with computer equipment. Then again, on July 20th, police got a third complaint. 2 more computer monitors were stolen from the Lotte Hotel. The video showed the same man and truck again. Bulato was later identified as the man in the video, according to the magistrate complaint. In that complaint, Bulato initially denied that he had ever been to the Lotte Hotel. However, after he was arrested and in the police car and wrote to the Agana precinct, he reportedly admitted to taking the computers and monitors, which he said he sold. Bulato is now facing theft allegations. Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary Robert Wilkie led a wreath-laying ceremony at the Assen Bay Overlook yesterday. He spoke with veterans and their families at the site, saying the citizens of Guam understand the experience of war better than most. John Titano, commander of the Guam chapter of the Order of the Purple Heart, said it was heartwarming to hear Wilkie's words. He said Wilkie's visit to the island was a real honor. Wilkie also met with island veterans for more than an hour yesterday at the Governor's Complex in Adelup. Brian Miranda, chairman of the Guam Veterans Commission, said a lot of good information was exchanged at that meeting. Wilkie is now visiting Saipan today before heading back to Washington, D.C. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I'm ready for that. 8:35 in the morning, and that is the time for my friends over at iConnect. Give them a ring and find out how they can save you all kinds of money on your mobile and internet plans.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Rita Tidegui of Manila, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Ingatan ang iyong tahanan. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Our pal Chef Peter from over at Mezcla is going to be out of town in a competition among all kinds of other chefs from around the nation and the world. Seafood cooking competition. You know, he knows a thing about seafood. Every morning you get Chef Peter. He goes outside and walks across from Mezcla, right across Marine Corps Drive, gets out there in the straits of the downtown Agana, right over by the Paseo, jumps into water, comes back out with all kinds of incredible and fresh seafood. And a lot of people don't realize that the salmon that they use over at Mezcla actually comes from around the Paseo area. Little known fact. But anyway, you can thank Peter if he's just that good. At any rate, he's got a couple of cool things going on over at Mezcla. They've got the seafood laulau, which has that salmon in it, the Paseo salmon, shrimp and scallops, and fresh spinach wrapped up in tea leaves. They steam it up, top it with soy butter sauce, and then you can decide what kind of starch you like. So visit Mezcla Hinaganya. And now in Tumon at the Grand Plaza Hotel, reservations are available 969-2652.
I love to watch the salmon swim up the Hagåtña River.
Isn't that something else?
Great.
I mean, every year, and we get those bears. The bears. That, they try to catch them and eat
Smack
them.
their head on the rock.
So good. Anyway,
Viva Guam! As Guam celebrates 75 years of liberation, Nambo Insurance honors the brave heroes who dedicated their lives to fight for our freedom. With great pride, we salute those who made our liberation possible. At Nambo Insurance, they share the same dedication to serve our community, from offering reliable home, auto, motorcycle, and business insurance to providing friendly half-a-day service. Nambo Insurance is dedicated to serving Guam. From your Nambo family, happy liberation, Guam.
It's 8:37 and time to take a look at what's happening in traffic. Traffic right now probably worse than it was during the last drive time period. I don't know, maybe it's wet roads or lousy drivers or just people that aren't paying any attention to what's happening on the roadways. Certainly busy at the intersections, but a little bit busier than normal at some of the intersections, including the one at 16 and 27 taking you into Harmon Loop Road. Always a little bit busy through there in the Hamburger Highway area. We've got some traffic that is moving around Kmart. Northbound traffic is running a little bit slower through there. 8, 10, and 16. Let me see what kind of a mess that is. Actually, that's not so bad. It will busy up by the time you get to that one good intersection onto Teason. And a reminder that intersection is going to be the bane of your existence when school starts in just a few days. And that will be made worse, compounded now by a new intersection that they put up in front of Carbolito Elementary. So watch out for those as you're making your way up and down Route 8. Traffic slowing down as you get into the downtown Gatineau area and moving fairly slow through the intersections there. At Big Navy, let me see, Big Navy, yeah, very, very slow there, and it looks like most everybody that needed to get to work over at the Navy Hospital is already on that side of the fence. It's 8:38. Be right back.
Whether it's for business or pleasure, staying connected when you travel is always essential. And now when you travel to South Korea, enjoy free data roaming with Docomo Pacific. Navigate the city, look up the best restaurants, email back home, or post all your pictures, all on the go for free. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your postpaid account is ready for roaming. You plus Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See print ad for details.
You guys comparing notes here on what kind of computer systems they have over at the Bureau of Technology, BIT, in the government of Guam. There seems to be a conversation going on about that. People asking just what exactly do they do there, and how are they able to get anything done? With the likelihood that they probably got Windows 3.0, pre-Windows 95 computers working over there, and now everybody, and I can't tell. Ellen Leon Guerrero chiming in saying it's DOS 1.5 that is running the AS400, and the scary thing is that might actually be correct. That there might be a fact that our systems are still running on some kind of DOS computer. Nate Horn, and I don't know where he gets this information, but maybe it's one of those pre-Pentium processors, 4 megs of RAM, 5 1/4-inch floppy disk, all that stuff. I saw that somebody had posted something like that on, is it Facebook or Twitter yesterday, and it was one of these old floppy disks, and on the top of it said Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl pictures. The last time we saw the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl, that's how we stored everything. It's on big floppy.
You should have had that picture and shown it to Blake during sports. He would have loved it.
That's just funny stuff here. 20 away from that. You know who might know is actually, this is Mark's back, right? Do I, Mark? He might know. Mark, what kind of computers do they have over at BIT? What kind of computer do you suppose is currently running the AS400 system?
Hello?
Hi, it's me.
Oh, hey, Ray, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm probing it because I want to find out, what kind of computers is it possible are running the AS400s?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, can you give me an example? I mean, just because you're working with the Department of Education, things like that. I mean, what's the oldest kind of technology that you guys are still using in the Department of Education on a regular basis?
Man, I older technology probably. I don't know. That's a good question.
like Windows 95. You got some rigs that are still running Windows 95.
You know what? I don't really know. That's a good question. I know that we try to stay up to date with our technology, in terms of keeping our technology upgraded.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a old.
Dude, there ought to be a thing. We should do a thing. We should find somebody. There's somebody listening right now that works in the government of Guam, and if that's you, do me a favor. If you're working on a really old rig, take a picture of it and send it to me at 988-5874. That's my thing, 988-5874, and show me the kind of technology that you're using in the government of Guam. I say, and the older the better. The older the better. If you got like an old Wang terminal on your desk, I want to know about it. If you got, you remember those, don't you, Mark? Are you old enough to remember Wangs?
No, I remember the old computers, the ones where you had to program. You had to punch in a certain code to make the computer do certain thing. But I think maybe John Fernandez's cell phone probably is the oldest thing right now.
Hey, tell him I know people over at GTA. We can help him out. Anyway, 8:42 in the morning. And in addition to the budget conversation that has got everybody scratching their head, we went over that. So if you're wondering what the current Joe S. and Augustin the outrage is, he's decided with the introduction of this new budget to change basically the way the Department of Education works. We're going to decentralize everything, and we'll put all of the principals in charge of all of the financial operations as well as the operations of their particular schools. Now, we don't know to what degree they've been able to put together decent budgets. What happens if they run out of money? My understanding is they're supposed to be able to transfer money from other schools that have excess in their budget. And I'm going to love watching this Game of Thrones if it happens.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of questions. And, I kind of look at it as like reforming education from the legislature without going to the stakeholders and asking them if that's something they want. The current chair of Appropriations, Senator Samaji, he sat on this seat at one point in time.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure he's very knowledgeable of the process. And, to kind of put that in legislation and to try and push this thing through and say that the principals are asking. There were 41 folks in the room, and, frankly, we just asked. He said, is this something that you guys would be with? And a couple of principals stood up and said, what are the implications of this? I'd rather focus on building a robust curriculum and making sure that we have programs and services than for us to be worrying what color seating tiles and, getting – and it's just going to really – there's no real clear – and he says that we're going to be able to transfer from one to the other. But if you really look at it, it's really limited. It's not very clear.
It's not going to, it'll never happen. It will never happen. You might have one of the finest schools on Guam, and they're going to run short on their budget, and they're going to go, to the next nearest high school that might have a little bit of a surplus and say, hey, can I borrow some money? Can I get some of that money? The answer is never going to be yes. It'll never be yes. That's pie in the sky.
And the same concept that he's using that kind of caught me was that if a student from, let's say, from Agania Heights Elementary wants to transfer over to Ora Chalampago, now we have to hire someone to track that because that money will follow that student. It's kind of like that charter school concept that they've been toying around with that, it's for people costs and all these different things. And we're telling them that it doesn't work. But unfortunately, when we go down there and we testify, now I'm beginning to realize that really they have already an idea or a concept that they want to implement and develop and not engage with the stakeholders and say, what are the true implications? There's no transition. It's just, here you go. In 2020, this is how you're going to operate.
Well, and as we spoke of last hour, the real concern is we're finally at a stage where we've got control of the federal dollars. And working with a third-party fiduciary agent over the years, we now have a system that we think we might be able to get out from under. And now they're going to spin everything out from the control of the federal dollars instead of being tracked and managed through the central office. And now that will be decentralized as well. And ask me, that's just an invitation for the third-party fiduciary agent, Alvarez and I forget the name of the other guys, Alvarez and Marcel, to just stay here for another 10 years.
And that's the thing, when you have, these special conditions, we got three. The last time we went to D.C., the superintendent and our team were able to get 3 conditions removed. Yep. We asked for the largest condition to be removed, which is providing a single audit, which we've been doing for the past 6 years. We have the OPA on top of us. We have the legislature, all these reporting requirements. And, when we go out there and we submit it and we say, hey, look, we've been doing this for the past 6 years, and we've actually, for the past 15 years, we had submitted these single audits. Our books are auditable. Can you take this on? Now, our local legislature is saying, hey, we want these reporting things, to be submitted to us and all this stuff. And all these documents are public. The audit has always been submitted. And 87% of the budget that has been given to us has always gone directly to the schools. And so he's saying that now he's going to cap the budget. And if a school, let's say, for example, the utilities rates go up, or if there's some issue, the school gets broken into and gets damaged and destroyed, where do you think that funding is going to come from? They're going to pull from that budget, and they run out of that money. Who is going to be able? You said the superintendent's going to have transfer authority. Then why try to do this and get that cap and
the superintendent's going to have the transfer authority. Then we've already determined that we probably would not be funding them up to and including emergencies and rainy days. So there has been some forward progress. Do you think you might have a timeline between you and John of when the third-party fiduciary agent and the federal Department of Education might finally take even the small little handcuffs off?
Right. So this is what's going on. We went to Washington, D.C. this past about almost 2 weeks ago, and we met with them. And if we get that single audit off, it's going to significantly remove that big cloud over us that we don't have our financial books in order. That's going to indicate to the U.S. Ed that, we do have, a lot of oversight, people looking at the way funds are being spent at the department, both local and federal. Okay, so this is both a local and federal mandate to submit these audits. So that's a big component. Since I've been on board, we've been able to significantly reduce the cost of a third party. When I came on board, it was teetering about 3.5. Now we got it down to 2.5. Once the U.S. Ed determines that we've been, that we have these standard operating procedures and these mechanisms in place to basically ensure that the federal funds are used the way they're supposed to and that we can account for all our fixed assets, then they'll start using it. They've been doing that, and we're at that point. It's just really disheartening that our Guam legislature doesn't trust us enough to make that determination for the greater good of the Department of Education. U.S. Ed is starting to see it, and they're recognizing it, and they're pulling us off of it. And we want to get it off sooner than later. I've been on this for 3 years, and we've never had this level of attention from the Secretary of Education to the Assistant Secretary. We got folks that haven't come out to Guam for the past 4 years. Now they're on island, and this is how our legislature is behaving. And
yeah, it's like the guys in World War I, and you're in the trenches waiting for some kind of relief, and something's going to happen. Here comes the big push, and then the artillery is falling actually on you, friendly fire and it's falling on you while you're in the trenches, just at the cusp of this big push.
Right, and so my hope is this. We met with the folks from U.S. Ed yesterday, and we basically said, look, the board, the governor, the congressman, our speaker of the legislature, at least the leadership of our island right now in terms of education, is behind getting off of this high-risk status. And our team, with Pauling at the helm, with Frank Cooperners, with these guys ensuring that we have an internal audit office that validates all these federal dollars and also our local dollars. And we're doing it with less. Now they want to shortchange the central office operations. Who's going to be left to monitor these things? It's like we're going backwards.
Well, it's certainly a case of ready, fire, aim, and I'm disappointed that's the budget of this 35th Guam legislature is going to look like this. I thought it was a very good question that was asked on Facebook Live earlier. What would BJ do? And frankly, I'd go back and as far as back in the old days, what would Frank Uggan do?
Yeah, so that's the thing for me is like, okay, there's got to be some benefit of the doubt with the author of the bill. And if you look at the bill, it's only Senator Sharandati's name on it. I'm trying to figure out if the other senators support this. I've never, I haven't seen it. Usually,
I'll tell you what, if they said that, when they were running for office and said they support the education, they better not be supporting this conversation.
Yeah, and so those are the things that I kind of picked up on the bill.
Yeah, that's what we got to do. Is we got to find some of the campaign material, the campaign brochures, and all the times that they said they support public education, and find out the ones that are going to vote for that part of the budget, and really hold them accountable to their campaign promises. This is what is a teachable moment. The word here is promises. So look it up.
Yeah. So what we're doing for our work session, and I mentioned this earlier. I asked the superintendent to send an invitation to all the senators to come to the Department of Education. They like to come to our schools. They like to send notice to the superintendent, hey, I'm going over to this school, and then they, from that conversation, they say the principals want this. But then when we have, the chain of command, and we're asking, what exactly are they asking for? And one principal made a clarification that, they were asking about the selected principal. These are special legislations that the legislature comes in and tries to fund these special programs. And then when we don't get the funding for it, we're shorting people everywhere across the board. And the concern I have is, we submitted $343 million based on the 14 points. What now the principals are going to be, of course, they're put into the management role now, managing the resources, all these 14 points. But the law says that if we don't meet those mandates, it's not the principal that's going to get sued. It's going to be the superintendent and the board. So what oversight that technically do we have over that is, and I'm not saying the principals are not up to the challenge. I just think the time should be better.
Well, yeah, they're going to be up to the challenge after we put together a plan as opposed to ready, fire, aim. That's what we're left with. 852, buddy, I wish you good luck on this, and let me know what finally happens with the federal DOE guys.
Yeah, they'll be here until the end of the week, and then they go back to D.C. and then they'll submit a report. Once they submit a report and it becomes public, we'll definitely share it with you. You'll be one of the first persons we call.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, Marky. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
888-8255-888-TALK. Mark Mendiola from the from the Ed Board, not from the Department of Education, is sharing his concerns, and they're the same concerns that John Fernandez. And I like the way there's one teacher, one principal, in was it page 2 of the Guam Daily Post today? Are you suggesting the principals are going to go site-based? Hansik said, so each school will be responsible for their own budget, as if I have nothing else to do. I love that. And so when did we come up with this plan that it was going to work like that? And what does the rest of the plan look like? Because it doesn't look like they told anybody what the plan was, either in the central office or in the actual administrators of the Guam Public Schools, who are now going to be responsible for all of that. 888-8255-888-TALK. All right, you tell me who I get to hang. Oh, it's Uncle Robert. We don't have time. It's a 5-minute. No. Can you call me back in a few minutes? Like on the other side of the news, Uncle Robert?
Sure.
Yeah, because this is a plebiscite conversation that we have to have, and I have to be somewhat serious as we go through this. So,
That's right.
All right.
None of that joking stuff.
No, I'll save that for later. Save it. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, I'll go. Uncle Robert's going to be back with me on the other side of the headlines down the road here on the program. I do need to pass along a programming note here for you today. I am going to, working with my infrastructure team. These are lads that I absolutely love. And weather permitting, and I think earlier in the day is better to do this, but we have hung it's a special kind of antenna. It's called a circular polarized antenna, and we have hung it on our tower out in Mount Aludum. But it's not connected to the transmitter yet. That's one of those things that we kind of got to go up there, and we have to be pretty methodical, turn this down, and then actually take the connector off an existing antenna, and then
Get up, it's Jesus Day.
Yeah. And then put it on the other one without getting exactly that kind of noise or that special vibrating feeling when you're touching something that has got, radiation going through it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying. Now I've got a couple of things to take care of, but as soon as I'm done with the program here, I'm going to haul my buns up to Mount Aludum and watch them take care of this. And so there might be some times after 10 o'clock this morning, definitely before 4, where we are silent for a little bit. And that means that we've had to bring the transmitter down so we can safely move the antenna, the connector cable from the one antenna to the other antenna. It's within 20 feet of each other, and we've already checked. All the connectors are the same. I got plenty of black tape up there, and so the only thing that would slow us down is lousy weather. But again, I don't think we're in for anything until later in the afternoon, until things heat up more, right?
Yeah, more than likely, because these thunderstorms have been popping up, right around lunchtime, noon, and then beyond. So I think if you can get up there before noon, you're very okay.
No, I'm positive. Anyway, so Yoichi's there, Rico Blancaflor, Tony and Annette and Pinko Ada are online this morning, and I do want to make a point about them. One of them is having a birthday. I'm not really sure. I don't know if it's Tony or if it's Annette. One of them are having a birthday, so I'll call Uncle Ben's place and ask him where's my ashes? Where's my grandma's ashes? It was funny. I remember Uncle Ben once, he came up to me and said, "Boy, how's your grandma?" I said, "Uncle Ben, you buried her last year." "Oh, yeah, that's right." Love that guy. Anyway, 8:56 in the morning, and that's the program note. So, like I said, when it gets a little bit quiet later in the day, somewhere between now and lunch, that's what's going on, and it should help you. You should be able to get some because we're right now. All right, inside radio stuff. The antenna that we are broadcasting from stands straight up and down. So if you've got an antenna and it's sideways, you're not going to get a great signal. If you make the antenna straight up and down, then it's okay. And in a lot of cases, yeah, you can control that kind of thing. And most Most radios have an antenna that will swivel. Your car doesn't. Or if you've got a car that has got kind of a busted antenna on it, maybe a bent antenna or something like that. So what we're trying to do is modulate our signal in a circularized way, so that no matter how it hits your antenna, we're hitting your antenna with some decent power. You should be able to hear us better in some spots. 8:57 in the morning, and that is the program note today. Annette Ada Vasquez is on. I see Richard Clark, Lynn Vince, Borja Polino. Kelly Rodriguez is online. James Schmidt is hanging out there. Kelly, you're going to want to listen to the tape of me and Clint Rigel. That was fun. Director Cho Hannah Iriarte is online this morning. I see my buddy Nate and Nick and Ken and all the other pundits are messing around. You know what? I still don't have. Come on, I'm serious. You can do this. I promise I won't say where you're from, and I will keep your contributions anonymous. But I want to know where in the government of Guam the oldest working computer is. So take a look. You know, and it might be one of those things where you're right in front of it, and you have been for a long time, and you don't realize that Windows XP is the old one. You might be looking around going, I don't know, it's Windows XP. This is new, isn't it? No, it was new 20 years ago. And we come out with some new stuff. And a matter of fact, if you are running Windows XP, please talk to your IT manager about getting it replaced, because that is how the hackers are going to be able to go in and maybe even take over the government of Guam. And that might not be a bad thing. That might actually not be a bad thing. So if you're sitting in front of an old clunker, take a picture of it. 988-5874. That's 988-5874. Some of you might be tempted to send me a picture of an Okidata Microline 182 printer. And in that case, and I think even some of my old hacker buddies and IT buddies online would agree with me on this. If you've got an Okidata Microline 182 printer, love it. Love it. As far as I'm concerned, that might have been the best dot matrix printer that was ever made. I mean, I put reams and reams and reams. I had boxes of paper through these things and never had a jam, never had a problem, never had a misfire. And when the ink starts to go bad, if you don't have a replacement, spray it with some WD-40. Good as new. Good as new. Get a little bit of oil in the first few pages, but after that, it's just fine. Then that was a fine printing device. And if we've got some of those still at work in the government of Guam, then we've done a pretty decent job on it. 9 o'clock in the morning, Uncle Robert's coming up next. We're going to be talking about the decision that was made yesterday and the last couple of days by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and where he thinks we ought to go next with this. The radio station is KUSG Agutnya. The name, Ray Gibson. This is The Point.
Was an ex-employee. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Authorities in Mississippi have identified the suspect in this morning's shooting at a Walmart, and charges have now been filed. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, Martez Abram was the man who went into the South Haven, Mississippi Walmart and killed store manager Anthony Brown and employee Brandon Gales. Abram is being treated and held at a hospital in Memphis after being shot. DeSoto County DA John Champion says they will move forward with a case against him.
Once we get information from the hospital that he is going to be released, we will begin the extradition process back to DeSoto County.
It's there where he will face several charges, including 2 counts of murder. It's believed a grievance led to all the violence, Lisa.
Gernal, 10 of the Democrats running for president taking the stage in Detroit in about an hour. Fox's Jared Halpern has more live.
A pair of progressive standard bearers will meet for the first time on the debate stage. Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have each laid out ambitious ideas to overhaul health care, taxes, and the cost of college tuition. They'll share a stage with moderate Democrats like Montana Governor Steve Bullock and former Maryland Congressman John Delaney, each pushing a message of pragmatism. Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden will wait until tomorrow night when 10 other candidates take the stage in Detroit. Lisa.
Jared, Planned Parenthood taking the state of Missouri to court, challenging the state's law that would ban abortion at nearly every stage of pregnancy. Missouri, one of a dozen states to take the action in just the first half of this year. More than 900 children have been separated from their families at the border since a judge ordered the practice be largely stopped. The American Civil Liberties Union says about 1 in every 5 children separated is under 5 years old, including babies. This is Fox News.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new Ciabatta collection. How do you want it?
I'll take the slam poultry.
Sure. Italian ciabatta with mozzarella. When hunger reigns, you're my favorite umbrella. Tasty garlic steak and provolone. With you, my taste buds are never alone. Savory chicken pesto, you have my affection. For you complete the ciabatta collection. Thank you. That was the new ciabatta collection by Subway. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65% for travel, back to school, a wedding. Do whatever you want with the money. During July, we just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
Investigators in Wisconsin ID the gunman and the victims killed in two related weekend shootings.
Chippewa County Sheriff James Kowalczyk says 33-year-old Richie German Jr., described as an often unemployed and troubled loner, shot and killed his 66-year-old mother, his 32-year-old brother, and his brother's 8-year-old son at their Lafayette home, likely Saturday. Then on Sunday night, went to a home in nearby Lake Hallie.
Was armed with a shotgun. He discharged a round through the door and entered the building.
Killing 24-year-old Laylee Vang, who apparently didn't know Richie, and wounding her parents before he took his own life. Police at this point say they don't have a motive. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The University of California taking legal action against 5 major retailers, Amazon, Walmart, Target, IKEA, and Bed Bath & Beyond. They're accused of infringing on 4 patents related to filament LED bulbs, which use 90% less energy than patents relate to work done by researchers at the University of California, Santa Barbara. The university seeking unspecified damages, including royalties. 2 men from Tucson arrested on suspicion of joining a terror group.
The 2 men, who are 20 and 21 years old, are charged with supporting terrorism. They are from Somalia but had been living as refugees in the U.S. and were arrested at Tucson International Airport on Friday before boarding a flight to Egypt. One had been granted lawful permanent residence status. The Justice Department says they were going to Egypt to join ISIS. Fox 10 in Phoenix reports that if they weren't able to travel, they had allegedly planned to carry out an attack on U.S. soil in the name of ISIS. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
More acts announced for September's Global Citizen Festival in New York City. Queen and Adam Lambert, Pharrell Williams, and Alicia Keys are just some. The festival calls on government and businesses to fight infectious diseases, empower women, and provide quality education. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, Mom, Dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
Is it me? Do I talk? It's time for me to talk? Okay. 5 after 9 o'clock in the morning. Portions of the program brought to you by Micronesia Renewable Energy. Now batteries that match your solar panels and will make a difference the next time the power goes out. Available on Guam for the very first time from MRE. American President Lines is shipping the future with their global presence and local home. Swing by Cars Plus, because at Cars Plus, they have extended the summer of the Jeep. It was going to end today, and then they said, no, this is too much fun. So it's going to be ending on at the end of next month. So you still got time to get to Cars Plus in Mighty and do the test drive on that Wrangler. Then hit the parts department and the internet and find out how you are going to customize that. Then drive it down to Nanbo Insurance and ask them about the bundle up plan. Say, hey, dudes, I just bought a Jeep, and I need to add this to the other car, and I need this to add this to the house and the business and my life and whatever. And they'll hit the bundle up plan button and see how much money they're going to save you. Could be up to 50%. Give Nanbo a call right now at 477-9754. Portions also of the program also brought to you by Ruby Tuesdays. And even though it's not Tuesday anymore, you can still get a great happy hour there between 4 and 6. Draft beers and wines and sangrias, or the Tipsy Palmer or Ruby Relaxer are like $5. $5 appetizers as well. That's why they call it a happy hour at Ruby Tuesdays.
Getting you back to the talk faster. It's the Ray Gibson Show.
So one of the things that I had to learn how to do when I was a budding boy broadcaster in the field of talk radio. Because I just figured I'd just go in here and yak for 4 hours, and as it turns out, some of it's got to be based on actual facts and actual documentation, which meant that I had to learn to read the legislative ease, and I had to learn to read certain kind of law documents. And in the last couple of days, I've had to do a lot of that. This morning, among the things that I was reading is the procurement appeal and the decision and order from, who did this? Which Camacho did this? Is it Ed? Anyway, whoever it was from over at the Office of Public Accountability has come before, and we've made a decision on the Take Care Insurance Company. They are the appellate. The Department of Administration in the government of Guam is the purchasing agency. And you might recall there was a piece of legislation that came out that said unless you are a provider of services, medical services, etc., at Guam Regional Medical City, you cannot be a provider of health insurance for the government of Guam employees and retirees. Anyway, so the guys over at Take Care, as you might imagine, said, "What? You can't force us into this. We've been negotiating with them, and we haven't yet struck a good deal with them, and we think we ought to be able to continue to do business. And if a GovGuam employee or retiree wants to sign up with Take Care, they should be allowed the choice to be able to do that." And besides, they were worried that they were going to get hammered by GRMC with some unreasonable requests like, no, you've got to charge these rates. And, oh, by the way, we'd like to access all of your customer base, not just the ones that are GovGuam employees and retirees. So it's been an interesting back and forth with these guys. Anyway, so Take Care takes this on appeal before the guys over at the Office of Public Accountability. And you know what? It just feels like one of those, the buck didn't even slow down around here. I don't know where the buck is going to stop, but it didn't even slow down around the Office of Public Accountability. The hearing officer finds no merits in the purchasing agency's argument that the appellant is not an actual or prospective bidder, offer, or contractor because it's not qualified to submit an offer. So in that case, the guys over at Take Care won because it looks like that Mr. Camacho said, yeah, okay, you might have some standing around here. However, and the conversation ends here. The appellant's protest is untimely. And therefore, it is not properly before the OPA. Therefore, see ya. Wouldn't want to be you. And, oh, by the way, we're not going to be hearing any more appeals on this. This is a final administrative decision. The parties are hereby informed of their right to appeal from a decision by the OPA to the Superior Court of Guam in accordance with Guam Code Annotated. And there we go. That's all there is to that. So if you were wondering if there was going to be something definitive coming from the Public Auditor's Office, the definitive answer is yes. We hit it with the 10-foot OPA pole. See you later. See you in court is where this is going to be going. Another case that has made its way through the court is this one here, the Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, and they had entertained in about 40 pages or so more conversation from Dave, just the beloved Dave Davis, I've got to say. Dave Davis, and trying to affirm a prior Ninth Circuit court ruling that said that the plebiscite is unconstitutional on a variety of grounds. And despite our best efforts, and Julian Nuggins, I'm sure he had some soaring speeches as he was before the justices there, just wasn't good enough. And they basically saying this is our final decision. Your plebiscite is illegal based on the language in the Guam Code, and trying to use native inhabitants as a proxy for a race. We caught that, and we're not buying it, so go do something else with this. Uncle Robert's on the line, and if you talk about people that might have a historical invested interest in decolonization on Guam, that would certainly be my Uncle Robert. Hey, how you doing there?
I'm doing great.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Not bad. Well, I'm hoping that I framed all of that correctly and brought everybody kind of up to speed. And I guess the question is not so much where we might have gone wrong and $1 million now worth of defense of that, according to federal law, unconstitutional feature. I guess the question is, where do we go next? What would you like to see happen here?
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't think we ever went wrong. I reject the categorization. Whenever you argue a point and you're trying to argue something that has I believe, an historical, an ethical, and moral merit, you have a couple of avenues. You have many avenues available to you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, against the 15th Amendment and the Constitution of the United States, they found flaws.
Yeah, so the judicial process is one. Of course, when you're an unincorporated territory, you have other options available to you. So you have a political option, which is not really, which is kind of like related to congressional plenary authority. If Congress was so inclined, they could go ahead and authorize this kind of activity. But of course, that's a steep hill as well. But I just wanted to point that out because this is not like we're operating within a 50-state framework. We're operating as an unincorporated territory. The 15th Amendment does apply here by virtue of congressional action, but Congress reserves the right to exempt a territory from all kinds of things. And so just the notion that we're having a political status election, and I don't call it a plebiscite. A plebiscite, I don't know how we got off on this tangent. A plebiscite implies that there's some binding action that's going to occur as a result of this. And I'll give you a little insight into how I use this term when in one of the many hearings I attended on political status in D.C. when I was the delegate from Guam. In one exchange I had with the Assistant Secretary of Interior that they were expressing their opposition to Guam holding an election of this kind. And I said, well, if for example, would you offer Guam the possibility of having a binding plebiscite, having an election which will actually bind you to a course of action? And they said, no, of course we won't do that. I said, so if it's up to you to decide what to do with the results of the election, what difference does it make to you who participates in the election? And of course, that's the nub of the problem. The problem is, yes, part of it, the big part of it is the concept of Chamorro self-determination. But the bigger issue is, what is Congress going to do and what is the federal government? So for me, the next steps are to ensure that our local political leadership is as much of one mind on this as possible. If they are not, if there's rampant division within the political ranks, then there's really no hope for ever doing this politically through Congress.
Well, I thought there was an interesting point that you made that I read in this morning's coverage in the Daily Post. Number one, about it important not to unnecessarily personalize those barriers, and maybe a little bit more by way of context, because I just get the sense by reading from Facebook comments and things like that many people have personalized it on either end of the conversation. So it's nice that you remind people, think logically. Think about what the needs of the Chamorro people have been and will be in the future, but think about the other individuals in this community, as pointed out by the Guam Daily Post in their editorial, that maybe it's time to start thinking a little bit more inclusively about who's going to be able to participate in whatever we want to call it, plebiscite or initiative or referenda. And at any rate, you also go on to say, finding out that the Supreme Court utterly rejects this idea of Chamorro self-determination is also useful, because the written decisions from the justices could enable us to triangulate a political strategy that gets you where you want to go. So finally taking this thing up to the U.S. Supreme Court and finally having them say, no, this is not going to happen. It's never going to happen. These are the reasons, and come up with how do you say it? That moving vehicle. Then and figure out, okay, if this is the be-all end-all from the federal government, then now we can come up with a plan, a strategy, and then develop the tactics to get what it is that we want.
Yeah. So each court decision, of course, has those little possibilities in it, and it's important to understand. It's just like the civil rights movement. In the civil rights movement, there was a whole series of court challenges and court cases that were repeatedly advanced by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. their primary responsibility. And then there was, of course, direct action and political action and changing laws that Martin Luther King was the primary mover of that. So when you look at that, it's important to understand that even in the midst of a bad judicial ruling, or if you didn't prevail from my point of view, there may be something in there. The nub here for me is always the fact that sometimes we conflate things, like the Rice versus Cayetano. Because I was there when that was heard in the Supreme Court as well. The way I think we should look at that is that was an issue that pertained to one of the 50 states. So is there a congressional authority to decide to do something else? Now, what if you went to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court ruled that under the current structure, this is not allowable, but Congress may choose to make it legal?
So how do we petition everybody in Congress to exempt us?
So at least, you get to know that, as opposed to forget it, don't ever raise this issue again. But then even then, that's useful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, and of course, I totally remain committed to the issue, because I think it's an historical injustice. This is not about Magellan encountering the Chamorros 500 years ago. This is about the U.S. taking a group of people that we can identify in 1898 and making a commitment that the native inhabitants' political status will be determined. And by implication and by the Organic Act, that political status of those native inhabitants has yet to be finally determined.
Right.
That's the basic argument.
Yeah, and something that has been bewitching us for as long as I have been alive, and for much of your adult life. What do we want? Where you want to go? And that's the end of the sentence here that you're quoted: to triangulate a political strategy that gets you where you want to go. Where do we want to go?
Well, we want to have this. I think the having this process of resolving this issue, which has been here since 1898, will actually make us a healthier society. Not resolving it will actually, I think, continue to have the kind of toxic nature of some of the conversations we have when we go around this. So it actually works better. But, at the end of the day, even if you did have a self-determination election, not exactly a plebiscite, unless, hey, if the Congress was willing to say, okay, we'll abide by the results, that's a real plebiscite.
Yes.
If you're not willing to abide by the results, and we'll just do whatever we want, I just don't see the vested political interest. Now, there's maybe a constitutional interest or a legal interest, but the vested political interest in trying to figure out, who gets to vote and who doesn't. So there's that issue. But I remain confident. I'm not downhearted, and I'm not embittered, but I am curious, and I'm certainly hopeful that the political leadership of Guam clarifies their position, gets behind this position, passes resolutions. And I think every time we ever have a conversation about anything related to our relationship with the federal government, this has to be pulled out and carted out and put in the face of people. Because determining a political will in favor of this, of course, has to assert itself locally, and it did. It did a few decades ago, and then now people are kind of like thinking about it, so maybe it's time to take stock of that. But I always remind people, I said, the first petition that the Chamorro people put in front of the U.S. government was in 1902, and it took until 1950 to actually pass and World War II to actually pass an Organic Act. 48 years later.
Yeah.
So, it's not like these things happen overnight, and certainly the nature of this, the people who are so interested in this, and the nature of it is is so strong. I think that it would be at anyone's political peril locally. Now, of course,
to ignore it.
Washington, they don't care.
Yeah. But somebody's got to take this ball and carry it a little bit further in light now of the appeal and the affirmation of the prior appeal. Now that we know exactly how they feel, at least in the Ninth Circuit, maybe there's something that we can do right now. I mean, would it be out of the question for somebody of some political capital around here to suggest that we have some kind of a referendum and put all of the options on the table? Let's go independent, statehood, status quo, compacts of free association, freely associated states, and those different relationships with the federal government. Put those on a ballot, and let's see what happens in the next general election.
All right. Well, somebody can run it up the flagpole, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and if it comes out that that this is what happened in this general election, and if it looks like somebody, the majority of people want status quo, or they're all like Eloy Hara and want to go for statehood one of these days, then at least we've got a semblance of the direction that most of the people want to go and take. But not necessarily native inhabitants, I think, is the word that they use.
But Ray, that doesn't resolve the historical consequence of that action in 1898 and the action in 1950 and the Organic Act.
But is it possible that those will never be resolved? It is, as they say, it is what it is.
Well, at this point, it looks like that in the judicial system.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, there's still politics left. There's still the political structure that is available to us. So we'll see how that plays out. And for me, I want to know exactly where our elected officials stand on this, and then we'll see what maybe the consequences are for them in the next election.
Yeah, the consequences of moving forward, the consequences of ignoring it. I think it will be interesting, and yeah, to that degree, let's run it up the flagpole in Washington D.C. and say that we're asking for an exemption so that we can truly seek the pulse of the quote native inhabitants of Guam.
Okay.
Let's see if we can do that without getting sued. What a crazy day. I'll talk to you pretty soon, Uncle Robert. It's always a blast. We'll get caught up towards the end of the weekend, and we can make jokes.
Okay.
Right. It'll be fun. Yeah, it's too serious. Yes, we're talking plebiscite issues here. We're talking about the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. If you say Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, you almost have to use exactly that kind of voice. Now, you know what would have been more fun? I'm sorry, I just got to think. I'm irascible, right? What would have been more fun is if we'd had a picture of the guys on the panel. Kim McLean, Wardlaw, Marcia Berzon, John Rawlinson, circuit judges, and the opinion here by Judge Berzon. It would have been cool if we'd gotten that on video if they're wearing like powdered wigs like they do in England. I think that would have been cool. Would that have cemented that colonial picture that you've got in your head? Huh. Why not? Let me tell you, 9:25 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK. So we'll put that away. But as I said, and Uncle Robert, to the degree that he says, well, now we know where the courts are, and the courts spent a lot of time with on this Davis case and looking at Rice v. Cayetano. And I urge you to read it. I mean, it's not that difficult to make your way through it. It's only 41 pages, including the decision, and takes you kind of on a step-by-step way how they got to the opinions that they did get, which affirm, again, a previous ruling of the Ninth Circuit Court. So I guess those are the options in front of us, right? You hear the paper shuffling in the studio, and that's because I'm looking for a particular piece of paper that I thought I had right in front of me, but I'm not entirely sure. Is there still time for you to get involved in that vendor outreach that they're having? It started at 9 this morning. We'll go until about 11 o'clock at GPWA Procurement Room, first floor in the Gloria Nelson complex out in Fadian, Manila. And they're looking for people to do business with the government of Guam, and in this case, the Guam Power Authority. Just like everything else, businesses and service providers that we've got on Guam, they buy stuff from vendors, and they want to know if you want to be one of their vendors. So it'd be nice to go by and drop a business card off. Or no, not that one, not that one. You know, this is one of those things that got to come down to one of these days. I'm going to organize exactly what happens here in the studio. What I'm looking for is the statement that should have come out from the government of Guam yesterday on how they feel about this ruling. And I thought it's just a bundle of papers that I've got in the studio. I know that there was something to come out from Josh Tenorio. There it is. Statement. R.E. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. In the Davis case, Acting Governor Joshua Tenorio issued the following statement regarding the ruling issued. We are disappointed, he says, with the Ninth Circuit's ruling. We will confer with the Attorney General and the Guam legislature to discuss Guam's options moving forward. We want to thank the legal team who represented Guam for their tireless work on behalf of the island's, quote, native inhabitants, there it is again, and their right to determine Guam's political future. As we strive to resolve the political status of our island through decolonization, our goal will always be for our people to be treated fairly so that together we will have a stronger voice and representation in the United States and the world. So here we are and going to confer with the Attorney General and the Guam legislature to discuss our options. So, again, there's the options in front. We're obviously don't have any more quarter in the Ninth Circuit. Maybe we can save up some pennies and put together a case that will go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. In the conversation yesterday, and you might have heard Uncle Robert, the other Uncle Bob Klitsky, talking about this on his program yesterday. Certainly a little bit of time with me in the program yesterday, where he indicated that you can take it to the Supreme Court. They probably won't take it, probably won't issue a cert on it, and it will die the death that it was given in the Ninth Circuit. So if that's the case, then Uncle Robert's absolutely right. There's not much more that can be done using the courts. So you might want to go to Washington, D.C. and make a case before them directly to Congress and invoke the congressional powers to be able to carve out some kind of exemption for Guam in this case and in this election. So it is truly just native inhabitants that will come together to have this vote. So native inhabitants, that's the bugaboo word there. And they believe in the court that was a proxy for a race-based vote. And even at the United Nations, when they have questions about elections on decolonization and that kind of thing, they call for universal suffrage. They don't say that you can only vote if you have this background, if you have this genealogy, this lineage in there. And that's always been the case, I believe, with the United Nations. And we've been asking for a Chamorro-only vote on this referendum since the very, very beginning of it. And you might be going, well, Ray, you're just saying that because you're, carpetbagger, Howley background. Well, anybody that knows the family knows that we can take it back a long, long time. And it took me about 2 minutes to actually get myself on the registry. So, yeah, I got a stake in the game as well, speaking from both sides of the family, native inhabitants and more recent people that have contributed to the genes that we've got now. What about them? What kind of say do they have in the direction that this town could be going? Anyway, ponder. We'll see what happens and see now that the governor of Guam, Lulian Guerrero, is back for a visit. We'll see what she's got to say and whether how do I want to say this? How the people that we have elected, and this is going to sound like a challenge because I kind of want it to sound like a challenge, how the people that we have elected here will display leadership. Your people are fond of saying that. Our elected leaders are elected leaders. And if you've been listening in any amount of time, I stop that. As soon as I hear the word elected leaders come out, I stop them and say, no, they are our representatives. But in this case, in this case, the question that I've got is how will they display leadership on this issue? The clock is running, and people are going to be watching. So don't let the grass grow under your feet here. In addition to all of the other issues that we have or pretend to have with the federal government, now we've got to get to deal with this one here all over again. And so it will be entertaining to see the machinations and the movements from among the elected players in the game. Come on, baby, show me some leadership here. It's true. Shelley going, excuse me, people think we're carpetbaggers? Last name Gibson, I'm B. All right. And again, I kind of want to touch on, do I have to take a break? I should take a break sometime. I kind of want to spend a little bit more time riffing on this, although I think I might have already thrown out all the spit on the riff that I'm going to do. Nick Pula apparently is in town. I didn't hear he was in town until this thing came out. But Nick Pula from the Office of Insular Affairs is here. And he's working with the governor's office and say we're going to have the Army Corps of Engineers take a look at Guam Memorial Hospital. This is a great idea. That's a great idea. We're going to have them take a look at the building, come up in about the middle of the 1970s, is my recollection, maybe a little bit earlier, and that became, for all intents and purposes, Guam's only public hospital, and has been for years. Maintenance issues, boy, I'm sure there's a ton of deferred maintenance. All kinds of places at Guam Memorial Hospital. I'm sure that there are other issues that are plaguing the place on a going forward basis, including the millions of dollars that we're going to have to spend in some kind of electrical control panel. That if that one weak link in the chain went, where would all of the patients go? And not overnight. I mean, like right now. If the lights went out in the power panel at Guam Memorial Hospital and they couldn't even rig up a generator, if they couldn't take the circuits apart so that you could keep things like the ICU going and the little baby part of the hospital, what would we do? Where would all of those patients go? I mean, right now. So I think that's cool. MCM, Shelley says 1974-75. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking around there. So we get the Army Corps of Engineers in there, and I'm saying it wrong on purpose, and find out what it is that needs to get done. Do we rebuild on site? Do we take a look at the building and say, yeah, you know what, it's seen better days? We might be able to see if we can find some money or some scratch, maybe another department, a three-letter department or agency in the federal government that might be able to find some dough. We'll rebuild it, refurbish it, but not for the purposes of turning it into a hospital. Not for the purposes of turning it back into a hospital. That if it was built, it was built right for the times. In 1974-75, how many people lived on Guam? What was the nature of the kinds of diseases that hospital was dealing with, and the kind of seeing things that we saw in the emergency room? That place was built for a different time. So I don't know that if you rebuilt it, we would just be it's like all of the work that they did 8, 10, and 16, and we came through there with a ton of federal money and rebuilt every stitch of roadway leading up to 8, 10, and 16. And they said, well, will this be able to handle any more traffic? And the answer was no. And I'm going, then why did we do this? Right? It's nice we got some more. They cleaned the place up and it looks better, but it actually lets fewer cars go through there now. And if you've ever been on that road, you know why. Because it is an ugly piece of asphalt. And incidentally, it's asphalt that we had to wait for until the federal government blessed it so it wouldn't come off and it wouldn't ripple up the way it has. But I digress. So we'd spend all kinds of money, and we'd still build it up. Will it handle any different kinds of patients? Will it handle any different kinds of emergency categories? Can we deliver more babies? Can we take care of more old people? Cancer, yada, yada, yada. And maybe we want a system that is more new. So my idea here is we'll do something else with it. Mike made a pretty good point. If we rebuilt it for the purposes of, say, the VA, injuries, maladies, diseases that maybe our veteran community might be more prone to getting. Let's deal with that there in a setting that may be the correct scale for it.
Yeah, I mean, you could turn the entire building into a VA center for more than just health care. I mean, it could be the place where the VA people go to the vets go to start working on their paperwork and all these other things. You can have one part of it set up. You can have another part maybe for light health care, and then if they have doctors there that, hey, if you've got a serious problem, okay, now we'll refer you to GMH or we'll refer you to GRMC so you can get that fixed. But give the vets a central point to go to where they then can go from there and be guided.
And it's not just Guam vets.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be just Guam vets. I mean, we'd make the thing. It's 2 minutes away from the airport.
Oh, it'd be the regional thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's all the guys that are serving in all the different islands and places like that. We get the guys that have retired in the Philippines.
Yes,
no more than 1 or 2 of those guys, and they might not be able to get the kind of health care that they want or that they're entitled to there. 3.5-hour airplane ride, and they're at this medical center, this Veterans Medical Center.
And to be honest with you, if you're a vet in the Philippines, trying to get information about veterans' issues, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
It's just such a long, drawn-out process. Yes, the 3-hour plane flight, you would be right here to an all-point center where they've got computers connected to the mainframes back on the mainland. They can get you the information they want to get you very quickly and take care of your needs.
So the other question then is if we're going to rebuild it and for other purposes, then where are we going to put the next hospital? Where do we put the replacement for the Guam Memorial Hospital? And I would at this point I think we need to put a name on this. You know, Guam Memorial Hospital just kind of sounds just like Guam Power Authority.
Well, for me, Memorial Hospital, what are you memorializing?
Right.
Guam?
Well, no,
It's still there.
well, that's the thing. So let's rename it. And it's a Guam Memorial Hospital. We would actually name it after somebody, somebody that's way up there in the the annals of healthcare here on Guam, like Lulian Guerrero, who's a nurse. Lulian Guerrero Hospital, LULGH. LLGH would be the new acronym. Mm-hmm. Just holding your tongue, aren't you?
I can't argue. I haven't been here long enough.
Who do we name it after? Tom Shea. We'll name the hospital after Tom Shea.
I would vote for that.
All right, so I'm just saying. And you know what? We got to make it so you don't have to die to get named after stuff around here. But you know what I'm saying? Even with the tongue-in-cheek, you know where I'm headed on this. Clinic would be a good name. The Philippines, Chris says they have a 2-story clinic the size of a hospital with Raiders. You guys are not well informed about the Philippines. Sorry. As the case may be. I'll tell you what, I'll be in the Philippines next month. Chris, you tell me where I ought to go and see what's going on.
Yeah, well, he's talking about in Manila. If you live down in Samar or in Mindanao, that doesn't really help you much,
I guess. Anyway, 9:38 in the morning. But going back to the other premise here is there was once upon a time just to the towards the cliffside from the Archbishop Circle. One guy takes you into Tumon, the other takes you in the backside of Parisville, and if you went straight on that road, you would end up at the grounds of the old Guam Memorial Hospital. It has been torn down since what? The Camacho administration, Gutierrez administration? Back in, 2001, 2002, and nothing of any value has been built on that property, and it might be time to start having a conversation about building a new hospital facility on that property. There was one there before. Don't see why we couldn't do a new one now that would be more suited to our purposes here. Just a thought. Play around with it in your head. If I'm wrong about the Philippines, I'm wrong about the Philippines because I'm 56 years old, and I wouldn't get that kind of care anyway. I get mine from St. Luke's or Medical City out there. 20 away from the top of the hour. That's iConnect time. Run by iConnect and learn what you need to learn about getting all kinds of savings on your mobile and internet plans.
Get a half gallon of Minute Maid orange juice for only $1.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a half gallon of Dairy Gold milk for only $1.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a $7 meal for only $1.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy.
Take it easy. Take my Berry Burst chicken salad. No way. Not going to let you do that. Go and get one of them from, get your own over at Wendy's this afternoon. They've got a great chicken, grilled chicken on the top, and then we got the greens because it's a salad. And that by itself with the raspberry vinaigrette, super flavorful. But we need to put more flavors in it and justify the name Berry Burst. So blackberries in there, and there's a strawberry in practically every bite. So you got all kinds of stuff happening in your mouth. And then just to put some more, what's the word here? Texture, feta cheese. How about a little bit of crunch? Okay, almond sprinkles in there. And then you close the box up, shake it all up, distribute evenly the raspberry vinaigrette. Baby, that's how we're having salads at Wendy's.
Last week, maybe you were nervous when I asked you to ask your boss for a one-to-one meeting. This week, you'll meet again to give the boss a little constructive criticism. Oh, yes. I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, hey, constructive criticism is a good thing. You can do this. I'm going to show you how.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at GuamTraining.com. Brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Yeah, just a thought, though, before you give the boss some constructive criticism. You might want to take a look and see what his to-do list has looked like for about the last month or so, and what time his last work emails went out last night, and what time his first work emails went out. So I'm just saying, it's always fun. Maybe we'll play around with that. We'll riff on that when Jer's in the studio next. 9:41 in the morning, and I have been remiss. I've been Raymond, but I've been remiss as well. I have not been spending as much time on magistrate reports as I would have liked to. Most of the time because it's they're not necessarily written for broadcast. And so I find myself having to scan and underline and edit, and finally, by the time I've gotten all that stuff done, it's 10 o'clock.
Well, then, and also when you read one, you feel like you're watching a tennis match because you're just shaking your head.
You're going, you got to be kidding. There's a story of, there he was, Thomas Leslie Carter. Officer Mendiola had pulled Mr. Carter over. Traffic stop at the place. Driver's door window was inoperable, so he had to open the door when approached by the cop. Anyway, so the cop is beginning to tell him why he got pulled over, to which Thomas Leslie Carter aggressively replied, "I ain't doing blank wrong." Officer Mendiola then requested to see his driver's license and the vehicle registration and proof of insurance, to which he instead replied, "I'm calling my brother." Officer Mendiola asked Mr. Carter if he had had anything to drink. He replied, "Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, but you're brown and I'm white, and that don't mean blank. I can do what I want." I wish I could have been there to see the smile on Mr. Mendiola, Officer Mendiola's face. I'm sorry, what'd you say? You're brown, I'm white. That don't mean blank. I can do what I want. Officer Mendiola, probably smirking, smiling through his teeth, asked to exit the vehicle and inquired if he'd be willing to submit to a field sobriety test, to which Mr. Carter responded, "No, it's because I'm white and you're treating me like this. What, you want to get physical? Because we can get physical if you want to." He was uncooperative and verbally loud, and while on his cell phone, he stated, "I ain't doing blank till I call my brother."
I have a feeling he actually did blank before he called his brother, though, huh?
Anyway, so he finally exited the vehicle. Officer Mendiola noted the strong odor of intoxicating beverage emitting from his breath, and he had bloodshot, watery eyes and slurred speech. Mr. Carter refused to submit to the standardized field sobriety test and, as is the case, was placed under arrest. While Officer Mendiola began advising him of his Miranda rights, Mr. Carter stated, "You're gonna get it, Mother Blanker. If it wasn't for the U.S., we wouldn't be here. Just wait until my brother finds out. I will find you and deal with you later." He continued to be uncooperative, resisted being placed into the GPD patrol vehicle. At the Agana precinct, he resisted being escorted into the building, and once he was inside, he intentionally lunged forward and fell on his face.
Oops.
I think there's a picture in one of the newspapers where you can clearly see.
He looked pretty messed up.
Yeah. So they take him to the hospital, and he does it again. Have you ever been this drunk? I mean, just
no. Not in public.
Bleeding from the mouth, transported to Guam Memorial Hospital, where he was treated and discharged. Upon being discharged, in front of doctors and nurses, he lunged forward again and fell on his face again. The attending physician at the emergency room said, "Thomas Leslie Carter, stop acting like that. Leave the hospital right now." And I imagine that he was placed under arrest and probably booked and confined. And can you imagine how he felt when he woke up the very next morning? Who said poor guy? Who on Facebook is saying poor guy? Nate Horn is saying poor guy. Get out of here with that. 9:45 in the morning, 888-825-8255. Good morning, Marquez. How you doing, bro?
Morning, buenas.
Buenas, and this is why we recommend people. This is why we recommend people. If you're gonna if you want to get just loaded. You know what? Go find yourself some recreational marijuana and go find someplace where you can just chill. We were going to get there eventually. Chances are pretty likely you will not get into that kind of trouble with the police officers, and they're probably less likely to call in race and say, "You're only doing this because I'm white and you're brown."
He needs a cat. That's what they call a cracker, by the way. So,
Well, there is something to every once in a while. You do run across somebody, and you just got to say that is one dumb howley.
Exactly. That's terrible. But, on the GMH thing, again, I wanted to just say that I want to borrow a page from the new director of GURA, who wanted to give up the property Trunklin Dot. We should do the same with the Oka and maybe build, a new multi-purpose hospital, veteran facility, and public health or whatever up there at the Barragata Heights. They got all that land that the Small Land Trust went to certain individuals that shouldn't have went to, but anyway. or the other place that you had mentioned earlier online. But yeah, why build that one, rebuild that place? Maybe, put some kind of enterprise that where we could make money off of Trunklin Dot and Oka Point and, make it a really nice business center or civic center.
The government of Guam that is just anathema to the government of Guam. They just will not tolerate that conversation. A few years ago, I don't know if you were here, if you remember, maybe you were serving at the time, but they shut down John F. Kennedy High School. Right. Shut it down. And the place was a disaster. I mean, deferred maintenance for 100 years and an old facility. And it should have been demolished. Instead of refurb. Now, my guess is that they probably could have gotten that take it all down to foundation. And then, if I was the guy in charge of GITA, come back out and say, all right, who can we rent this to? Who can we rent this property to? Go 100-year lease on something, build to suit it. You come in with your consortium of businesses, maybe some of these big mall developers or something like that. You come out here and you build whatever it is that you want to build out here with this fantastic view of Tumont, this fantastic view of Two Lovers Point. You could have put a hotel or two up there and just really turned it into something. But oh my God, we are so emotional around here that just people couldn't let go of the fact. But I graduated at John F. Kennedy High School. This is my campus. It was like my home. You can't do this to my home. All right, well, I don't know where we're going to get money for sick people. I don't know where we're going to get money around here to pay for cops and teachers and all of that stuff because we're just too busy, get a coin, take a picture. And say, there used to be a school here. Okay, fine. There's no school there anymore. Instead, we're leasing it out to a huge company, and they're paying us $1 billion a year for which we can...
And then you would have capital improvement money for more schools, stuff like that. And same thing with the hospital. We'd have money for the hospital by leasing that land.
Now, I am weird about this point here, but Guma Tranquilidad, I kind of agree that there needs to be a place for old folks, and I wouldn't necessarily have a problem if there was a place like that on the beach when I get too old to work, when it's my time, and that kind of assisted living, someplace where I can live. Got the hotels over there. G-Spot's right around the corner, right?
Put another hotel and reserve the whole bottom floor for senior citizens.
Well, I mean, a conversation can be had about different ways that we might be able to use that property. But I'm not one of those guys. I don't want to be the ones that kick out the old people there. For that, I can be sentimental.
Well, we're not going to kick them out. Just age them out. Don't replace people who,
Oh God, me and you are going to be the last two there.
By the way, so you're born in '62, also?
Yeah. Class of 1980. I am a Taurus and a Tiger, which for those of you that pay any attention to either one of the zodiacs, let me just ask this question: how did you get so lucky? How did you get so lucky? Have a guy like me on the radio, a Taurus and a Tiger. Oh, by the way, I'm O positive, so I'm a, what is that? Universal donor, right? Yeah. Yep. So I got all that going for me.
Wow. And you still got hair.
Still to get, yeah, it hasn't gone away completely. There's an ad that plays every once in a while, like 4:30 in the morning on Coast to Coast every day, and I hear this guy with an Indian accent talking about this salve that he rubs in his head and is preventing his hair from going away. And you know what? After a certain point, after you watch your hairline recede a little bit, some of those things that you hear in late night radio start to sound pretty attractive. I mean, really, Marquez, what have I got to lose?
Exactly. More hair.
More hair, right? Who knows? What do we got? Cracker Jack makes the Guam public at being American at Howley's. What did Richard? Richard, type slower. I can never understand what it is that you're trying to say. You're making sense sometimes, but I don't know what it is because you're typing too fast and you're mixing up the speech and your words. Anyway, Marquez, I'm going to let you run. So you agree with me that let's find another place for Guam Memorial Hospital. Let's take what we've got, find a nice piece of property, and rent that to somebody. Take the rent money and use it to support.
For it too, because I used to be a hospital administrator at Regional Medical Center Clark.
Nice.
Clark, and I'm a medic by more skilled, but an administrator. I did the IT. I was put in there. That was a 1,000-bed hospital, and their IT system informatics. So a good name would be Guam Marquez Hospital.
Well, it's already got the M in there. But no, wait. Let me slow it because you never know the background of a guy until he spills it. So you have installed IT in 1,000-bed hospitals?
Yeah, at Clark Air Base. Clark Air Base in the Philippines, RMC Clark. I was there from 1981 to 1986. And I went to Barksdale Air Force Base and worked at that hospital as a CIO, and also did it at RMC Clark. Yeah.
What are you doing talking to me on the radio? Why aren't you working? Go. There's people that need that kind of experience.
I consult. I'm trying to consult with GMH on their new system, and the GRMC folks too are really solid people. Risk management over there, Andy Rojas, Ramos, and we don't.
You know who's got a great system? I mean, just a couple of boys talking tech. You know who's got a really great system? Dusitani. Have you ever seen the insides of their shop?
No.
Good shop. Really, really great state-of-the-art facilities and some real good people that run the place. Anyway, producer says I got to take a break. I'm going to let you run.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes, I'll talk to you pretty soon, Marquez. 9:53 in the morning. The studio line is 888-8255-8255. The WhatsApp. I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. Can you hear the little achy in my voice? All I asked for today, here I am slaving over a hot microphone, wake up at 4, get in the office at 5, and go over all of this stuff. Only thing I was asking for is pictures of your current government of Guam technology, because I wanted to find out which department, which agency in the government of Guam has got the oldest computing clunker that is still working, that is still generating reports, that is still being used to input data and numbers and word processing. Nothing. You know what that means? Because I know you want to help. I know you want me to have those pictures. But my guess is that there's probably supervisors walking around offices right now saying, don't you send him anything. Don't you dare. I get it. It's either that or everybody is using pencil and paper. That might be what we're down to. It's 9:54. Excuse me. Be right back.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. My name is Alicia Blas from Agate, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Putehi Igomamu. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Why am I running? Because IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Whoa! We're talking chicken sandwiches, chicken and waffles, even chicken and pancakes. But move it, Gray Van! IHOP has crispy chicken!
Run in to try IHOP's new buttermilk crispy chicken strips and pancakes for just $6.99. For a limited time, price and participating restaurants may vary.
Not a whole lot of time for a full-blown riff, and Richard, I appreciate you typing back. He says, my bad, got too emotional. Cracker Jack makes the Guam public proud at being American citizens, but not Howleys. I still didn't make any sense. I don't. So formulate that a little bit better, and then get back to
But
me.
I will say this: guy that got arrested, he's the guy that makes other Howleys call him a Howley, and it's like. I just shake
I
my
want to
head.
know who his brother is. I'd like to run into that guy because he apparently got all kinds of power.
Yeah.
I mean, if your brother is saying, if you know what, you don't know who you're messing with.
That's
You
what the
don't
lady
know
at the beach said when she was getting beat up, right?
Yeah, crazy story, that one. There was an article that I read the other day about the grotto up in Saipan. And I don't know if you've ever been to the grotto up in Saipan. I've had the opportunity to get to walk down those stairs and look in the grotto and go, do I want to go swimming in there? And the answer is no, I don't want to go swimming in there. It looks like one of those places where the ocean will come up and swell up and then drop you on sharp rocks and then pick you up and do it about 5 more times until you get the sense knocked into your head and get out of the water. So I've never done that. But there's hundreds of people that do every single month, maybe every single week, and they've got problems now. And it's the same kind of customers that we've got around here, where there's more and more people doing FIT travel up in and maybe it's a longer standing tradition up there. But anyway, so you get these guys, and apparently nobody's good at picking up after themselves, and they've got a real messy problem up there that they've got to deal with. And now their elected representatives are beginning to say, maybe we need to shut down the grotto. Maybe that's what we need to do, is just put a big fence around the thing and say, because there were so many people here that weren't keeping up after themselves and trashing the place, we're just closing it. So you can see it in pictures, but you're not getting down there. And it got me thinking about, maybe that's something that we need to think about doing here, is maybe we need to identify some places. A friend of mine, Donna Cartwright, doing some swimming in Marble Cave. And my fingers crossed, I pray that she got to the clean version of Marble Caves, because I know it's been trashed several times. I hear about Tengisan. This is amazing. You'll hear about a cleanup at Tengisan. GTA did one not that long ago, right? And just a couple of weeks ago, somebody said they went down there, and it's just amazing how trash that place gets. So maybe the answer here is we just need to put some fences around things and just lock the door. So you can't go to Tengisan anymore. And people will complain, and they'll moan, and they'll bellyache. But at least Tengisan will be clean, and maybe people seeing the signs that say, because this place has been so poorly maintained and so trashed out by residents, we're going to close it off.
The other option is to fence it in and then charge entry. That way, at least you pay to have somebody come in and you can
clean
pay
up
somebody,
after yourself.
from
Sure,
the funds.
sure. And with that would come some kind of development. But maybe that's something that we ought to ponder. The Inarahan pools. I think was invited to something over the weekend where people want to go out on a Sunday morning, bring some bags, bring some gloves, bring some hydration, and we'll clean the Inarahan pools. Frankly, we shouldn't need to clean them. Somebody did a cleanup. The guys from the USS Asheville did a cleanup just a couple of weeks ago. Has it been trashed again since then? Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sure it is. So maybe that's another one of those places where we have to say, yeah, it's really, really pretty, but we can't keep track of all the people that come in here and trash the place on a 24/7 basis. So we'll just put a chain link fence around it, just like the one that we have going up and down Marine Corps Drive, the god-awful, butt-ugly chain link fence. And every time you drive by the thing, you just remember it is a sign of our inability to lead folks around. What have I got? In the Philippines, they shut down places to visit because of the trash there. They should do it here until things get cleaned up. I don't disagree. They shut down Boracay, which was at the time one of the ascendant resort areas in the Philippines, for exactly the same reason. Development came too fast, couldn't keep after the trash, couldn't keep after the sewage. People were literally swimming in poo in Boracay. That's it. I got to go. I said poo on the radio. And that's it. So I'll be back tomorrow morning because it's Thursday, another day closer, baby. Like I said, program note, we're going to go off and on a couple of times today until we get the antennas all changed out. So anticipate that. Here it is, Fox News Live in progress.
Fox News. About half the Democrats running for president in Detroit for the second round of debates, with two self-described progressives going head-to-head. Fox's Jared Halpern has more live.
Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren will meet for the first time on the debate stage. In all, 10 Democratic candidates debate tonight, including several still struggling to break through, like Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan.
I think it's important for everybody. I wouldn't say do or die, but, this is definitely a great opportunity. There's going to be millions of Americans watching who don't know me.
Ryan has been critical of some of his rivals' health care plans, saying it's a big problem to take away private insurance. Health care is expected to be a big issue both tonight and tomorrow. Lisa.
Jared, 2 counts of murder filed against the man accused of shooting 2 people to death in Mississippi Walmart. 39-year-old Martez Abram of South Haven, Mississippi, is also accused of shooting and injuring a police officer.
He is doing much better from what I understand.